welcome to All Your Reviewing, the only show where, hopefully more frequently than we have been, we see all all these shows. And like, I'm Shimmy Ghosh.
I'm Josh Starnes, and I'm trying to have it frequent. Right? Yeah, exactly.
All right. What do you want to talk about now? Because there's been a lot to talk about.
I know. I'm trying to remember all of it. There has been, it seems like, at least one match of the year candidate match from Bryan Danielson every week for like the last 3 weeks. Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston. Bryan Danielson versus Anthony fucking Bowens, which turned out to be great.
Oh, that was I love that match. I mean, I'm a huge Bowens mark. Yeah. I love Bowens.
What was the other one? There was another Danielson match that was before the Kingston match. Maybe was it his first round tournament match that I can't remember who he was against in the first round of the Eliminator tournament. It was before Kingston. It was the week before.
Well, Miro, right? There's a Miro thing because there was
that too. No, that's coming up. That's at Full Gear.
The best to you. Like when you're back, we're gonna be there for you. But like, whatever John Moxley's going through, like, hey, best of luck to you, brother. Man, that's it. And the level of support you've seen from the company, that's also good. And here's the other thing. So in this whole tournament thing, right? So John Moxley was that person, but then Miro is the person now.
Right.
But why was Miro not there to begin with? Because like I thought it was about rankings.
Well, none of the eliminators. The eliminator tournaments aren't always like you can look at it and see it with like I mean, it depends on how many guys they got, but like the TBS eliminator tournament, they're like half of them are people who aren't ranked at all. I mean, it's always
they
like
specifically said it was about rankings.
The eliminator tournament,
and like Miro was third from what I heard. So
he's not. He hasn't been in. Well, after he lost his title, he hasn't been in. He's not in the top 5 at all right now.
But now he's there. And not even there. Like he's in the pay-per-view match now.
But in a way, well, and you're not losing out. But in a way, it fits in. It's accidental, but it fits in perfect in their storylines because even though he hasn't been in it, you've had every week he's been like, God, why have you taken this away from me? I'm coming for you, God. It feels like predestined. And now, so of course, like now he's like, all right, God, you get a reprieve. You have done your job.
You're Bryan Danielson at a fucking like pay-per-view. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's gonna be. Now it's killing me. I can't remember what the other Bryan Danielson match was because I remember it being also great. It's just that everybody forgot it.
That's the one where like
No, it was the one. There was one a week before Eddie Kingston because Eddie Kingston was like the second round match. And there was a match before that. Eddie Kingston won against Lance Archer, and Bryan Danielson won against somebody else.
Oh, also, by the way,
I can't remember who it was.
Hope you're okay. That was some fucking piece of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those moonsaults are killing people. That's just it's they're tough, especially when you're that tall.
He didn't rotate the right way, like his head right on the mat, like 180 degrees.
I'm amazed they managed to finish it. They could have just said, "Oh, that's it. He's out. We're going to call a doctor rest stoppage."
Shit, like from the fucking pay-per-view.
Yeah, they probably should. I mean, in a lot of ways, they probably should have. And I'm kind of sad we missed.
Call. We all knew it was the right call.
No. I mean that the ref should have just said he's hurt. This is it, Eddie. Because I mean, obviously Eddie was going to win that anyway because they were building up for the Danielson match. So they probably shouldn't have. I know a lot of it was Archer wanted to try to finish the match, so he rolled back in to do the roll up and get pinned. But they should have just had the ref should have said, nope, that's it. It should have been like Kota Ibushi because they had that like a week earlier at the climax of the G1, the final, which is like the second biggest match New Japan Pro Wrestling does in any given year. Okada and Ibushi. Okada he ate shit on a Phoenix Splash and dislocated his shoulder in the middle of the match. They still had 10 minutes of the match left to go, the biggest match of the year. And the ref said, nope, this match is over. Okada, you win. Ibushi cannot finish this match. And they didn't try to do a crap roll up or anything like that. The ref was like, nope, it's got to stop. This is over. You win. And the crowd hated it. You could tell Okada hated it, but you got to do that. And
the restaurant hated it more than the crowd did. That's the thing. Like, and you and I have seen Lance Archer do so much shit before. Yeah. Like we know he's just under rotated.
Yeah,
like his way,
but I'm saying like
the mat at a 180 degree.
Yeah, they shouldn't have even tried to do. I know wrestlers will try to like get to the end of their match because they hate not having their match. The ref should have just been like, dude, no. This is you weren't going over anyway. This match is over.
Exactly.
But but
you have to be credit for them. Like you're a warrior. Like you actually tried to do like That's fine. Like a lot, even though I give him a lot of shit because like he always win the big matches without winning the big matches, like the American big matches. But like like Lance Archer, like still my favorite performers, and it always sucks like when you get injured that way, and it just you're gonna be back because like John Moxley's gonna be back, and like that's good. That's good.
But that's all right because it gave us room for we're gonna get anyway. But I don't think we knew what we were gonna get with the Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson match, eliminator match, which may be one of my match of the year candidates for this year.
I feel like you're gonna say that for every fucking Bryan Danielson match.
It seems like he just keeps right? topping himself.
Yeah,
he just keeps topping himself with each one. It's crazy, but I mean that one was great. And now, it feels like we're gonna start saying that about Eddie too, because like. I don't think it's quite what they had in mind. It seems like what they knew they were going to do something with Punk, but they haven't known exactly what they were going to do with Punk for Full Gear. So they've been like trying to find it.
Maybe Punk they had picking who he wants to fight. That's basically it.
It seems like it. Well, it seems like him and Danielson are both doing that. It's like every week is okay. Let's see who Danielson and Punk are going to choose to fight to show us something we haven't seen before. So you had. Punk versus Daniel Garcia, and you had Punk versus Will Hobbs. You had Punk versus Bobby Fish. Oh, that's what it was. It was Bryan Danielson.
More exciting by the week, by the way.
That's what the first round limiter was. Is Bryan Danielson versus Bobby Fish, which was tremendous. I mean, that was a tremendous match. They're both great wrestlers, and then he and Eddie Kingston just had a crazy knockdown brawl that turned into elbows to the head craziness, which was great. And you just know that Miro match is going to be crazy, and it's set up perfectly for Eddie Kingston to go bump into Punk, erase his time, and now that was some fire promo.
Yeah, so here's the thing, like I've heard a lot from a lot of fucking like basic fans, they're like, oh, all this shit seems random, like, but to actual wrestling fans, like who's picking up that people like the good matches, like that's it, like like these are the matches we want to see. Even though I barely heard of Bobby Fish, but I fucking love that match because he's an MMA fighter and everything. Like, that's what you want to see. Even with fucking like a Tiger or Nogueira or whatever, like, we had a match against, like him, I was like, at least they're good fighters. So that's what you want to see.
Yep. And you're going to get good stuff. And I mean, those are two now. I mean, probably the match I'm second most looking forward to is CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston, just based on how much they were tearing into each other, and that
they made it.
Eddie Kingston may be better
personal.
on the mic.
They made it personal.
Well, Eddie, I know you were comparing it to the Darby Allin versus Ethan Page when they made it so personal. You wanted to see them kill each other because
this is even more personal about it,
and this is even more personal.
Yeah,
and Eddie Kingston may be better on the mic than CM Punk. I mean, he probably did more to sell that.
Who's the heel? With the whole thing, you're like, fuck, who would I cheer for? They're all saying good things, right?
Yeah. He's like, I can see both your sides. Both of you, I kind of agree with.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to see you fight, but I don't really want to see you fight. I don't know how to feel about this.
Like, oh, I see you smirking. Keep up, like, yeah, this is like fucking like street.
He's like, I'm just gonna fight you, and then maybe you'll disappear for another 7 years. That was some harsh stuff.
I'm gonna headbutt.
Headbutt.
Let me get real to the fucking headbutt. So yeah. That was, I thought it was a fucking amazing segment, and more. And CM Punk could do anything for like a lot of us fans just do anything, but like the fact they made it even like remotely personal. That was the part. I mean, of course Eddie. I mean, that's the best part. I mean, the promo king. I guess like CM Punk. We were waiting for this shit.
Yeah. I think after everybody saw, I mean, we should have known because he's main evented AEW pay-per-views already, but especially after seeing his Miro match at All Out, everybody should go like, no, Eddie's got to be on every single pay-per-view card. He's going to deliver.
How many people can just take one segment and make it into a fucking pay-per-view interesting match?
He did that with Danielson too. I mean, that could have been a pay-per-view match. And that was as much Danielson as anything else because he was complaining about Danielson overlooking him, and then Danielson just he was like, he's got no chance. He cannot do 20 years worth of work in 1 week.
Josh has a very good point because here's the thing with Danielson's thing versus Punk, because Danielson's always been like, I'm here to kick ass. Yeah. And Punk has been like, I'm here to like put over other people. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Like, it's not him just putting over someone. It's someone who actually has a problem with the way he's conducting his business.
Yeah.
And that thing is like the most personal thing that CM Punk's been in this company. Which is why
he's telling. And he's telling a long form story with it. I mean, we talked about the Bryan Danielson Bobby Fish match, but there was also the CM Punk Bobby Fish match, which got a lot of people talking because Bobby Fish kicked out of a GTS when it took Punk too long to cover him. And Punk's been telling this very subtle story of, yeah, he's older, he's getting guys, but it gets harder and harder with every match. He's not getting his wind back fast enough, and eventually he's going to take on somebody who is too young and too fresh, and it's just going to get too hard for him. Now that may be a Kenny Omega, or that may be, you know, an Eddie Kingston. I kind of doubt it. Or it may be an Adam Page, because at some point you're going to want to put him in a main event for a pay-per-view, especially if you're trying to elevate Adam Page as a main event guy. And that may be, you know, a good story to tell that they will, by that point, will have been working on for like 6 or 8 months or something. You know, they really take the long view.
Yeah, we all know, like, look, Team Punk's gonna go over Eddie Kingston, that's fine, but it's the most, like, invested being in a story, because it's not just Team Punk, like, it's like, you know, like, trying to, like, help out other guys. It's like, this guy's actually has a problem with him. He headbutted him during an interview. Like, that's the thing, like, you know, like, it got personal. And that's the thing, like, even though we know that Team Punk's still gonna beat him, like, but that makes it want to watch the match to begin with.
I think the only story that people are more invested in is the Hangman Omega story. That has taken 2+ years to build up, whereas the CM Punk Eddie one, I mean, in one thought, the CM Punk Eddie one is like 20 years because they have a lot of shared history to talk about, but they turned it up in like 1 week. I mean, and Page has been able to do that where Omega is concerned, because like when he came back for that ladder match, it was like he hadn't been gone at all. He was immediately as over gets. Right away, but you know, that's
we talk about this for like actually since the inception of our show, like how fucking over Adam Page is.
I mean, so let's talk about
when he had a baby and everything. We knew he was gonna come back and go see Cowboy shit was gonna come back, or whatever. That's fine. Even the Dark Order thing, they've been hanging on his coattails. Yeah, but you know, it's still all about Adam Page, and at least the company had known it's still about Adam Page.
No, I mean, and you can tell that for anybody who says he may have missed his window. So let's talk, since we're going kind of bouncing around from piece to piece, let's talk about the Halloween match, which a lot of people were really split on, which I loved. The Ghostbusters Elite versus the Dark Order as Cowboys. And I don't know if I have seen a pop this year as big as when Hangman Page took off the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man head to reveal himself and clobber.
I love that.
No, every single thing about that whole match, I was laughing that whole match when they were using the backpacks as weapons, to JR getting so upset about having to say proton packs. I was surprised.
I don't know.
No, because I'd seen the Halloween the
first. But then they brought in Brandon Keller to be beat up and like with the fucking like thing over his mouth.
When they had Nakazawa in the giant baby outfit doing splashes outside. I mean, you could hear like Jim Cornette's having aneurysms across the country.
The faces went home happy that day.
I know the faces went home happy. My favorite bit was actually right before they had the one bit where they took all their backpacks and collided into I think it was into Evil Uno or John Silver. And right before they did it, Kenny Omega shouts out "Shell Shock," and then they pulled off the Turtles move. I was like, yes, North Carolina. That's right. I mean, I laughed at every single minute of that match. I had about as much fun watching that as anything I'd seen all year. So I don't know how
you know what, but you know what I had more fun watching? That nut shot block. Because we knew in the last fucking Rampage when Adam Cole was fighting John Silver, and Del set up for a nut shot block, like you knew he was gonna do it, and it was like
you see it coming.
Fucking Elijah walk. John Silver was like, nope, no nut shot, sit up power bomb. Boom. One of the most exciting near falls I've ever seen, dude.
Against Adam Cole, who gets a superstar reaction. And now people are going to be...
Also, Adam Cole had a great job like selling the fucking concerto.
Selling the concerto. That was great. He was getting dizzy. He'd stop. That is some storytelling. Like, they were thinking about that a long way out. And they talk about nobody ever sells, or they kick out, or they know... No, 2 seconds later after finishers. No, they do not. That's ridiculous. No, that was great. That whole match was great. They're going to be saying budge half the time for everything that Adam Cole does.
BPE for the last 6 months to figure out what budge is about. But yeah.
Are you caught up on it? Do you know all like this? you know all like the background story about budge and where that comes from?
Yeah, because like, it's actually even Adam Silver having like admitted that that's what the story was, that we're trying to make him manager, right? But that's what poking at. They're like, yeah, so you're a manager and you call Budge. Is that a boom? Like, what is that?
Well, they or at least a
What?
manager with a different
I
name.
hate you. I don't want
It's nothing is quite as good as when they mocked their inability to do a 4-man power bomb. That's still the best thing I've seen since Adam Cole came on. Just with the whole,
well,
for God's sake, why is this so difficult?
Would you not get battle rap with Orange Cassidy this week?
Yes, yes, that was good. That was really good. The Max Caster thing we're going to that was harsh. I mean, the Bowens match was really good.
All over TV this week.
But nobody's going to remember. I won't say nobody's going to remember the Bowens match because of the entrance rap. But that takes some stones to come out and say that to Bryan Danielson's face. But,
well,
I mean,
we're gonna have to look up afterwards. Like his father-in-law, that's Johnny Ace.
Johnny Ace. His father-in-law is Johnny Ace. Stepfather-in-law is Johnny Ace. So yeah, that was. I mean, they're taking shots.
Yeah,
Eddie
was
taking shots.
Or anything else. Like,
yeah. That was that. I mean, Caster's going to get the heat, but they had a great match. They were before Rampage started.
Bowens is the one that wrestled because I'm a big fan of
He's
Bowens.
A better wrestler. He's probably
really good,
the better wrestler, especially for a singles match. Like Caster's fine; he can get it done in a tag match, but Bowens is probably the better.
No, he's funny, guy. But like when it comes to in-ring shit, man, Bowens is solid. Yeah. He's fucking solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what are we talking about? Like, like when you see these people come back, like CM Punk and like Daniel Bryan, they've been seeing these people they want to have wrestling matches with.
Yeah.
And so that what made it happen to me was like, man, like Bryan Danielson came back and wanted to have a wrestling match with Bowens. And like, yeah, that's one of my guys. That's good.
Yep, exactly. Or I can't remember from Danielson or Punk with Dante Martin, and there was somebody with one of them was with Dante Martin.
Hey, so speaking of Dante Martin, by the way, was that because they were like pushing this match between him and his brother, which really wasn't a thing because I'm pretty sure they heard me like shit on his whole gimmick the whole time, so that's how we know.
No, he's apparently legitimately hurt.
But they didn't the Rampage match this week, but I guess it's gonna be next week or what?
It's gonna be next week. So what happened was it was supposed to be a tag match against the Seidels with Martin and Leo Rush. And then at the last minute, Mike got hurt, so it turned into a singles match between Dante. I figured you ran at him with a crowbar. You Tanya Hardinged him. I was like, yeah, Shamik finally got him.
Why? Why?
That's like a BTE sketch right there, an AER sketch.
We're old.
Yeah, I know. So instead they had a third singles match between Dante Martin and Matt Seidel, and Martin won. It's the first time he'd ever beat Matt Seidel.
So is Dante just done?
You mean Darius or Dante?
No, Dante, his brother, because
his brother's Darius. No, he's Dante. His brother's Darius. He hurt his knee so bad. I have a feeling that they will actually go back into tag team as soon as he comes back. But
you should hope so.
So what they're doing, So what they're doing now is they're still going to have that tag match because I think they want to have that with Leo Rush. They want to have like Leo and Dante in a match together on TV. So they brought up the very recently signed Lee Moriarty. So it's going to be Matt Seidel and Lee Moriarty are going to, which should be really. I mean, that's 4 really, really good guys. You got 2 really good young new guys and 2 really good, more experienced guys.
Unlike WWE, like they have too many people they don't know what to do with, other than just cutting everybody. Like,
not anymore. Well, what they know what to do with them, they know that they're going to fire them.
Really, Brian Cage?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know, Brian. I don't know. Is he still hurt? I mean, he wrapped up his match with Ricky. Ricky's still hurt too, so he's not getting to do anything.
Yeah, Ricky's on TV.
But Ricky's on TV. Brian Cage.
Yeah, Brian Cage. I don't know. He was by the wayside.
I don't know. He was somebody they were. He was somebody they were really high on early on. Who knows?
I like the guy. I think he's a good wrestler.
I think he is too. I think he could have some really good matches. I mean, he had some really good matches. It seemed like they had a plan for him. I don't know, but it happens.
I'm listening to the show. Like I'm still an AEW mark and everything, but one thing where I feel like people misuse somebody. Like I feel like Brian Cage could have been treated better. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just didn't have time. Maybe the stuff with Ricky and Team Taz.
It was bad luck.
The guy. Maybe it was bad luck.
Neck broken.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows? And who knows what's happening on the back end? I mean, usually they've been pretty good at that. About
hey, at least I saw a Rising match this week on Dark.
They did. Well, I mean, he's not,
And he got a chance. He got
he's
right in the chance.
he's not there to
Florida,
get
but
on TV. He's the he's not there to get on TV. He's there to help in the dark things. But you notice that that's some of the stuff they've been doing. Like they give people a chance, and they give people way more than 3 weeks. And they will give people main events and good matches. But if you don't get over, either your contract's not going to be renewed, or you're going to turn into Joey Janela or Big Swole, and you're going to end up on dark.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where they are. Maybe they'll get out of it. I don't think Joey ever will. Maybe Big Swole will. I don't know. It seems like their relative divisions have passed them by.
More of like a emphasis on their actual, like the TV shows and like the internet shows, because like back in the day we used to have like the PPA, like even like some storylines for dark or like elevation.
They have them, just not very many. They'll be they definitely have them.
Yeah, but I guess there's another side of the equation, because the on TV product has been so good because of all the new things. So it's like, yeah, so it makes it a little calling me. It's like, yeah, so you don't get to be on the dick shows. Also, like, you're not Daniel Bryan.
But hey, what? Daniel Bryan went on dark. Had a really good match with Aaron Solo. In between all the other stuff he's doing.
Like CM Punk, like when he made fun of like Eddie Kingston, he's like, oh, do you want to wrestle you on like dark or elevation, because he's gone on record saying he's not going to be on dark or elevation.
No, he'll watch him, but he's not going to go on.
Exactly. That was like another deep cut. Whereas, like, oh shit.
Whereas Brian, you know what? Brian Danielson, he's like, yeah, I'm going to come out. I'm going to main event an elevation. I'm going to do a 4-star match with Aaron Solo and high five everyone. But
that's not bad.
Apparently, the theory, the rumor is he may have done it twice, because they had some fun on Dark this last time around. With Mask, we saw one of those where we had the tag team of Too Hot, Too Fuego, with Fuego and Fuego del Sol and Fuego Dos,
Cody
looks remarkably similar to Cody Rhodes, including a little blurred out.
Anymore, so including
with Fuego. You know what?
That was my take.
You know what? They cheered the heck out of Fuego Dos. He got some massive babyface cheers.
Cody cannot get booed.
So who knows?
His speech, that was pandering to me. It
was meant to be pandering, but I didn't mind it so much.
I don't think he thought it was pandering.
No, I think he 100% thought it was pandering. I think everything about that was to pander to the crowd, and at 50% work. I know people are saying he's getting booed out of the building, but when I'm watching that show, I'm like, no, it's really a mixed crowd. Like when I watch him walk out, and you look at all the guys who are on the hard camera side, half of them are giving the thumbs down, and half of them are clapping.
He was booed because he was fighting Malachi.
And when he had that's why he's booed. But and his match with Malachi was really good.
He's gonna not be booed.
That's true. Well, he's having his matches with Andrade right now, and it's 50-50. But definitely during the Andrade match,
but again, Andrade's
I know. Who's having great matches. He had a second great match with Pac. He had a great match with Cody. He's got. It seems like he's got a couple more really. That he's on. They haven't announced it, but it seems like it's going to be a tag match of Cody and Pac versus Andrade and Malachi Black for Full Gear.
Yeah, but who do you think will be seeing Pac?
Yeah, that's okay. Okay. Well, it's a nice mixture. It's shine. Well, you know what? I think it's a nice mixture, and also it kind of shows the natural misanthropy of the AEW audience, because Pac is literally a bastard who hates the entire crowd and doesn't want anyone to cheer for him.
He's dark match,
and he's going to get cheered.
Tiger Noguera or whatever.
Yeah,
that guy, right?
Yeah,
Eddie Gordo,
Tiger Woods. Yeah,
yeah. But again, that was such a good match. But like, he doesn't even his.
That was a great match.
Like, he's Tiger not a face. He's a bastard.
Yeah, he's a bastard, but he's going to get cheered while Cody the face will get booed.
We cheer him because we like to see him beat the shit out of people.
I know.
He's good at that.
But Cody,
when Cody made a point where I have to be cheered for. Like,
no, well, he didn't say that though. He just said, "I'm not going to turn." No, he didn't. He just said, "I am not going to turn into a heel. I'm going to be a baby face, whether you cheer for me or not. I'm going to be a baby face."
Oh, really?
Yeah. But you know what?
I'm a fucking. Come on.
Yeah. 100%. During the Andrade match, I definitely heard competing like Andrade Cody cheers. So there's definitely like a heavy section of that audience that's still with them. It seems more like 50-50 and probably half of those guys are just doing it to be
No, but
to go.
I love
right?
Cody as a performer. I think he's a great performer. I mean, he's a guy that like looked at me during a fucking WWE match and said, "Cody's mustache, fuck you, guy." Like, yeah, I was the guy that started Cody's mustache chant. I get it, but like when you pigeonhole yourself and say you don't want to be, you have to be a face the whole time. That I have a problem with that because
Why?
as a fucking writer, as a story, like you have to do what the you know, like we make fun of the fucking like a best friend. Give the people what they want. If
Well,
they
you
want
gotta balance it.
against you to
No, because
do it.
sometimes you got
make it. You can still make it work for you.
Well, he can if he doesn't have to be a heel to have people yell at him. I mean, John Cena proved that you don't have to be a heel
That's
to
like
have
an
people
extreme
yell
example.
at you. No, I don't think so. And actually, long term it works because John Cena is now the most over person in WWE. But as we can tell,
Other than Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but
yeah. Well, it's been 10 years since Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Who was a heel? He played the heel when he needed to be.
Yeah.
Don't be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. But Cena didn't. No, I think it can totally work. There are times where you got to look at it and go like, and I hate to say it because it's what WWE does, but you got to look at it and go like, all right, this is the story I'm going to do, and the crowd's going to go with me or not. Sometimes because there were a lot of people like that wanted Cena to turn heel, including Cena, and it probably would have been the worst thing he could have done. It would have killed.
Yeah, but you use WWE as an example, but they want to go against whatever you think, regardless, because that's like and have. They're not. If it's a story, work for it. If the fans want to see a heel Cody Rhodes, be a heel Cody
That's not if it's the wrong story. If you're like, no, it's going to be a bad story, don't do it, no matter how much they want it. Because a lot of the time, because there are definitely times when the fans are on. Because you got like this heavy set of them that were sitting around saying, or they'll think like 1 inch in front of their faces. Because you got like this set of them that were like, you know what? Inner Circle should have broken up so they could all go their different ways. Like, no, it's a stupid idea. Inner Circle should never break up. They don't always have to be doing Inner Circle things, but they should never break up. And people who think that, they're not paying attention. There are people, there's like the fan base now that's like, if Hangman Page wins, he should have a short reign because there's more money to be had with like Kenny Omega CM Punk matches or John Moxley CM Punk matches for the title. And I'm like, no, that's short-sighted. You could give the fans who say that what they want, but you would ruin your business. So sometimes what the fan wants is bad for business, and you got to sit and go like,
sure, but look at this. This is what you've been telling you about, like fucking like Malachi. Like you're not gonna get over against Malachi. That guy just over. Like just move your feud on to somebody else where you can't get over.
Well, I'm sure he is. I mean, it's going to be against Andrade.
Like, I feel like this dude's got in his head. Like you think like people don't like him. Like,
no, I think
against Malachi.
No, I think people are. Fine. I think, and I always say like a lot of fans have just gotten WWE brain from 25 years of it, and it's hard to get over. I don't see any sign that Cody is going to try to like keep beating Malachi Black and people, cheer for him.
No, he's not going to get over.
He's not going to. He has like no desire.
Don't have to be a face. Have to be a heel. No, you have to be whatever story. That's it. Like that's my thing. If the fans want to see, like not.
Well, I mean, he does that. He does that. Like when he wrestles Malachi, he basically wrestles heel. He's not turning heel, but he wrestles.
Well, he has no choice.
And well, I mean, yeah, but he does. He could choose to wrestle as a face. He could choose to wrestle as a face and have a bad match, but he's not going to do that because he knows better.
Well, I'm saying, other than Malachi feud, you can do everything else. But like, I feel like he's hung up on the whole thing. Like, it's really
I think people are reading that into it. I think people are, the people who think that he should turn into a heel are thinking like, and when he says he won't, are sitting there saying, "Oh, well, he's just going to like beat Malachi over and over again."
See, I never.
And nobody's going to do
a heel. I'm just saying, don't expect you to. No one's going to cheer you against Malachi Black.
Well, I don't think I think those are two different. Yeah, but I think those are two different statements. I mean, like he didn't go out into the crowd and say, "I am never going to turn heel. I'm going to wrestle as a face against Malachi Black over and over again." He said, "I'm just never going to turn heel."
Also kayfabe, right?
No.
You're the one that told me that.
No, I didn't. I said no. He's
you
not
told me that Cody. I didn't know that from you. Told me that Cody didn't want to ever be a heel.
No, yeah. He doesn't ever want to be a heel, but that's totally separate from anything having to do with Malachi. Like he's not going to feud with Malachi endlessly. He's going to stay a face and move on to other things. Like he's moved on to Andrade, and they're going to make it a tag match because they want to get Malachi onto the pay-per-view.
Even Andrade, I'm like, he's not
Yeah.
Malachi, but like he's still a popular like fucking wrestler. Like, again, like I almost feel like he should revisit like the Max thing. He wants to be like do the whole like.
Well, I'm sure that they will. I think they have other things they want to do with Max.
Because Max will make you fucking face. So yeah.
I don't think they want. Yeah, but he can't do that without beating him, and I don't think they want to do that yet because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Well, no, that was Jericho. That has nothing to do with Cody. Because
no, Max and Cody. That was the first thing when Max became a heel, right?
Yeah. But Cody's never beat Max, and Cody can't have like a rematch with Max and lose. If he has,
I know.
if he goes against him.
For people to cheer you. That's it.
Yeah, no, I think if he wrestles Max, people will 100% cheer him. If probably a lot of those. If you who there's a lot. Like
who gets the most heat outside of Max?
Max Caster.
Yeah, but even then,
no, they would definitely cheer him against Max. If Max comes out with bad enough rap, they will. They'll definitely cheer him.
Is that me?
Some of he could probably get cheered against, especially if for people who know about like some of the real life heat, he could probably get.
But you know what? That's not fair because actually Max MJF is the only fucking heel that actually wants to be fucking heel. Like he doesn't care about you don't want people to like him anymore. Hey.
I don't know. I think everybody who is a heel goes about it a different way. They do have a bunch of heels who are like, you got a lot of Miros and Pacs and Malachi Blacks who are like, I'm a badass heel, which is fine.
Hey, so Miro, can we talk about this right now? Because I'm just talking about this right now. So I know he's back in the tournament because of John Moxley or whatever.
Right.
But they said AEW said the fucking like the ranking was about where they are, and Miro was the third person. Why wasn't he in the original tournament?
They never said that you got into the tournament based on your ranking.
Actually, no. I literally saw an episode where they said the reason that people
don't remember. No, that was for TBS. That was for the women's tournament, not for the men's tournament.
No, for the men's.
No, because nobody got a buy, and nobody got a buy in the men's tournament.
Well, then why isn't Miro there?
Why? Because they picked some other guys. They picked number 10, and they picked Brian Danielson wasn't in the top 5 either, but he got in because it's Brian freaking Danielson. Yeah. Eddie Kingston wasn't. Eddie Kingston was in the top 5 either. They did not. Yeah, I mean they never made any statement at all about ranking having anything to do about who was getting in the Olympics.
It's one of those things that actually worked out in the way I wanted to. Like I didn't want John Moxley to go through whatever he went through. But like at least like Miro's still part of the conversation. That's where he should be. Like we should be saying Miro versus Brian Danielson at the pay-per-view.
It all works out.
Yeah.
And there's something for everybody. You got the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. So Christian Cage has got something to do. You've got FTR versus Lucha Brothers, which unless something goes crazy wrong, should be a banger.
With his like whole thing is like, oh, John Moxley's like, I'm Stone Cold, but not Stone Cold, but like. With the way he like dissected 10, it was bloody. I felt like he was like basically doing like a blood drain, but he got to the thing. And so like, what's he gonna do to the next person?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna destroy Orange Cassidy. I mean, Orange got probably more offense.
I was like, shit. I guess
Orange got probably more offense against Miro than he would have gotten against John Moxley, but
yeah, like Orange Cassidy have like a Vasco fucking ear or some shit like the whole thing. John Moxley was on a mission. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. He was in the zone, and Orange can take it because it's one of the things that AEW has learned that I don't know why WWE hasn't is that if you have regular wins and losses and people actually win and lose all the time, you will build up stars big enough to be stronger than a win or a loss, and losing won't hurt them. There are some guys that losing will hurt.
AEW has just deviated from that formula sometimes, but at least they keep the templates of that it is supposed to be sport.
Yeah, I mean, up to a point. No, well, I mean, people definitely lose. They always have. They have clean finishes. People win and they lose, and
there's never been like a DQ finish. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so once ever. I think maybe once ever, but it's rare. They've done it enough to let you know that it can happen.
This is fun because we hate that shit. It's fucking wrestling.
Yeah, well, that's my point. Is that you can build DQ finishes. The reason WWE does it is because they're like, well, we've made a match where we don't want any guy to lose, and we're afraid for them to lose because it will weaken them. And they won't. No. They do it so much because they're like, we made the match because the match is a draw, but we don't want either guy to lose because we're afraid if they lose, they stop being a draw. They're like, we can't ever beat.
What a good example! Like Brian Danielson versus Kenny Omega match.
Yeah,
mean, that draw. I mean, one of the only draw finishes in AEW, but it made so much sense.
And it was all you could do. But my larger point was like, because AEW has from the beginning allowed people to lose, it has built an audience that is okay with people losing and doesn't go, oh, this guy lost once, he is a loser now. Because WWE does that because when they let people lose, it's because they don't care about them. So you got it to the point where
main roster and loses Jeff Hardy.
Where people are over enough. They like Orange Cassidy can lose to John Moxley, and he is going to be, and he will be just as over.
I mean, do people like us? Orange Cassidy's on borrowed time. Like he's been losing a bunch of matches, but like he beat Jericho in feud and everything. Like he's made the comedy people like me like justified. Like
Well, there's not that many people. I won't say borrowed time. He's just not going to be repeatable. But it was more. But he's like over enough. He can lose. Like Thunder Rosa can lose in like that triple threat match with Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill, and it's not going to matter because she's still going to be Thunder Rosa when it's over.
Orange Cassidy came in an entitled match, and you believe he could still win.
Yeah, even if he is lost.
I mean, that fucking Pac and like Kenny Omega match. That's what cemented it for me. I was like, fuck.
Hikaru Shida can lose to Serena Deeb, and she's not ruined. You don't go like, oh, that's it for her. She's done. She's fine. She's gonna come back and people still cheer for her.
Like they're all like more parity with each other.
Yeah, much more so. Oh gosh, that Hikaru Shida Serena Deeb match from like 2 weeks ago or last week.
That was
one of like the best. They have a feud. She was coming out with that broken trophy. She was mad, and they had maybe the best match of the show. I mean, look at like female Demon Malenko. The woman of 1,000 holds. The woman of 1,000 holds. Well, they've been talking about how not enough with the women. There are at least 4 separate stories going on with the women. You have Tay Conti and Britt Baker. You have Anna Jay and Jamie Hayter. You have
but let's be honest. I mean, Britt Baker's gonna be she's gonna be champion for a while.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because the feuds are good. You have that's why they have feuds revolving around them. You had Ruby Soho and the Bunny and Penelope Ford. You got Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb, and then they'll rotate some more and have some more different feuds coming out of that. And then every so often you get something like
because people complain about new people coming in from like WWE to AEW, but like women's division, one of those things like Ruby Soho is still here, but I still think the long plan is still Thunder Rosa versus.
100% the long plan.
There's new people didn't know.
Well, there's going to be something with Jade Cargill. There's 2 people they're basically building up: Jade Cargill and Thunder Rosa. So it's a question of who are they building up faster first. But it definitely seems like the long-term money draw is Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa 2, which is why they're going to kind of wait a while to do that because that's a big one.
Also, I really love Thunder Rosa's like music. It's really good. Thunder.
She's going to be here in 2 weeks. She's doing her Mission Pro Wrestling is doing a show in Conroe at the Shooting Star Brewery on the 19th.
It's right here in Texas.
It's right here in Conroe. It's like
we're not in Conroe. You're actually very close to Conroe.
It's like I can drive there in like 30 minutes. I'm thinking about getting ringside seats are $50. I might do that. And you get like VI if you do the ringside, you get VIP with meet and greet and photos and stuff. Might take the kids up and do that. You know what? They do a lot of wrestling matches at that Shooting Star Brewery. I know it's in Conroe, but
you mean Southern Star?
Southern Star. Did I keep saying Shooting Star? Southern Star.
When you drink, let's get on.
You know everything. I was gonna say, so you have all these women's matches, and then every so often you get Britt Baker versus Abaddon, which I know some people were down on because it's a bunch of tricks. I laughed so hard.
I thought you hated Abaddon.
No, actually not my favorite.
People like that know that she's a trick match. I love it.
No. It depends on she's got to have the right working partner. Like her title match with Hikaru Shida was not good, and the build up for it was not good. I don't think that was her fault. It just wasn't going to work. On the other hand, the build up nice and short, but the build up for Britt Baker was great. The best part actually had everything to do with it was the pre-match interview with Mark Henry, where he's like, Abaddon, what do you think about this match? And she just goes, Rah. Now it's time to go to the ring. And we're like, you can shape that now. No, it's great. No, he totally no-sold it. He just goes, guess Abaddon has nothing to say. And he goes back to Abaddon. It's like, oh, She's gone. Well, time for talk is over. Time for the main event. It's great. I was laughing at that. I was laughing at that so hard. I'm like, how could you not like this? And then they bring out the chair, the table that won't break, and the chairs and the thumbtacks and all the crap. And I don't need it all the time. If they did it all the time, but for this, match on thanks on Halloween, yeah, bring it all. Do it all. A zombie match on Halloween is exactly what you need.
Although I will say I was appreciative of the fact that it was basically just like Excalibur with like Mark Henry and Big Show for one point for Dark this week. But Big Show, even though I've been saying he's been doing better, he did legitimately mix up Rio with Riho again.
Yes.
That's
a tough one. Rio and Riho, I know that's a tough one. I can see people making that match.
It's an H. Yeah, it's that H.
It's especially when you're talking fast and you got a lot of stuff to get out.
I know it's only assholes like me that make a point on this show, but that's why you should listen to the show because assholes like me.
I do listen. No, it's great. I'm trying to remember. Well, I know you got Taz singing out Ruby Soho's theme, but there was a woman on Dark who was like an opera singer wrestler. And she was singing like falsetto during all of her bumps, and eventually, you totally missed that.
Was that like a squash match? I missed that.
It wasn't like a squash match. It wasn't like long. It was probably like 4 minutes. It was strange. It was strange, and it's at one point. It was on regular Dark, so it was one of the Orlando matches, and at one point, Taz starts singing.
You saw Waves and Curls, right?
Yeah.
There was somebody else before.
Yeah. At one point, Taz started singing opera while she was singing her opera. It was quite strange. It was weird.
Ave Maria.
Yeah. No, it was weird. But that's okay, because there was some really good. You know what? It was worth it because there were 2 great matches on Dark. One with FTR and this new great Samoan guy named Toa Lanare, where he was just. They lost. His team lost, but he was like FTR worked really hard to make him look good. He was a good big man.
The 80s music is really cool.
I love the 80s music, but he was doing like these cross bodies and squishing FTR, and they were working hard to make him look good. And I hope we see him on Dynamite.
I guess Rachel Kirsty they basically played dead for like half the match.
That was great. That was great.
That was good. Yeah.
That was hilarious. He acted like he was dead, then just got up and big rigged.
Yeah,
it was great.
Big rig, boom.
that was.
Also, during the fucking luchadors, just like I get it is funny when they're like, yeah, we're the best luchadors ever. Look at us.
They got the belts. How are you going to argue? They got the AAA belts.
And actually even satisfies those legions of fans who are like, whoa, FTR should have a title of some sort, right?
They do. And now they do. They're the greatest luchadors in history.
But for just conventional thinking, you would think like the Lucha Brothers luchador champion.
They lost. You would think so, but they lost. So, and you know what?
Like, hey, luchadors, Penta and Ray Phoenix and Alex. I was like, yeah, Alex.
And I like to add that Alex says we're gonna get our revenge. That was a nice. But you know
we
what?
Don't know it, man.
They're
because we know what he says. We don't know.
But they're also playing it all the way through. FTR is going down to Mexico to do multiple dates with AAA where they are going to defend the AAA belts on Mexican television.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
They
have to defend it on their show, right? So
yeah, they got like some dates coming up, and everyone expects them, and then they're going to do some of the regular AAA television that tapes. I'm not sure when it tapes. It airs on Saturdays, but I know it tapes in like one big lump. And then December 4th, so coming up pretty soon, is the next AAA pay-per-view, Triple Mania Regia, where Kenny Omega is going to defend the title against Hijo del Vikingo, which should be great, and which is apparently a match that Kenny has been wanting for a while. He might be the one where he finally drops the AAA belt. I don't know. But the word is FTR is going to go down there as well to defend against someone, maybe Dralistico and Dragon Lee. And that should be a lot of fun as well. So they're going to do it on both sides. They're going to be taking AAA down to AAA up to AEW. We got like that match with Samurai Del Sol.
Where's John
Star? He's around. He'll be back. He will definitely be around for Full Gear. He's apparently they just haven't had something, but they didn't want him to.
Do I just have to hate the Young Bucks for like kissing Adam Cole every time they do a move?
Yes. You know what?
That's a very intimate thing. Like, I get it. You're friends. I have friends. Like, that's fine. Just
People
have
hate it. It gets heat.
That's a very intimate, special move, man.
Especially in wrestling, it gets heat. You think you hate that? Wait until, because we all know it's coming. Wait until Kevin Owens turns back into Kevin Steen, and we get Mount Rushmore. I'm calling it. Oh, I'm calling it now. I think he is mentally checked out. If you have seen anything he's doing, like he's going out there, he's putting on okay matches. He's doing okay promos, but it looks like for all the world, like they don't have him doing anything. They just have him jobbing out to guys. And it looks like he has like, I mean, they might offer him so much money he stays, but it looks to me like he's mentally checked out, and he's already mentally like programming a new version of Mount Rushmore of wrestling, which was his group with Adam Cole. And I will do not be surprised if Mount Rushmore of wrestling gets back together. And apparently Sami Zayn's contract ends at some point in the middle of next year. So don't be surprised if El Generico suddenly shows up in AEW. But I'm going to call it right now.
To come back to fucking Texas and be a good fucking wrestler again.
Well, you know what? There are two. So let's talk about it. And there's a bunch of other great stuff happening, but we can't because it's going to hit AEW. I mean, it's become so routine now that people are putting it out. Like 3 weeks ago, everyone was saying, WWE third quarter earnings are on November 4th, so expect a bunch of wrestlers to be released on November 5th. They didn't even wait for November 5th. They waited about 20 minutes after the third quarter earnings were out, and they released a ton of guys. The other con, and a lot of them were people you kind of expected. A lot of NXT guys, they're not doing anything with guys that they have hopelessly ruined, like Karrion Kross, of which I just.
But Karrion Kross is a huge fucking deal when it came to NXT.
It was.
Him and Ember Moon and Keith Lee were the biggest surprises. I was like, I think you guys have programs built for these guys. What the fuck?
Ember Moon wasn't because they weren't doing anything with him. And Karrion Kross, they had. I've been expecting it because the fact he hasn't been on TV, and they kept repackaging him, and they didn't know what to do with him. Keith Lee, I thought, was on a bubble. I thought like they liked him enough, they might try to keep him and keep trying.
I love that guy.
But at the same time, they clearly don't know what to do with him. Like the biggest surprise for me was Nia Jax, because she's been someone they have used a lot.
Like she was terrible.
I mean, she was terrible. I don't expect to see her show up anywhere else. She's someone who could only work in WWE.
Injuries.
But I mean, she was terrible.
Charlotte Flair.
She was terrible. I know. Well, that was half Charlotte's fault. I mean, that was hideous.
That was all their faults. Yeah,
that was all their faults.
Yeah, that wasn't just her fault.
Yeah, that was everybody.
No one was professional that night at all.
No, that was bad for everybody. Everybody was let down by that. But
that's like me just saying "fuck you, Josh" for the whole episode. It's like, and that's it.
Yeah. Speaking of QT Marshall, no, I'm kidding. But
your favorite.
Your favorite.
Why are you being like this? Why are you being like this? I thought we were friends.
But that surprised me because she's always been so protected, especially considering that people don't like working with her, but they've kept her around so much. But so that one, but yeah, they let go of Keith Lee, Ember Moon, Oni Lorcan, Grand Metalik, and Lindsay Dorado, both of whom I expect to show up in AEW at some point. We're gonna end up having like an entire
the border roster situation. We're gonna have that because we talk about how people don't have people we like don't have TV time. So that's, I mean, and it's such a double-edged sword because the people we don't like aren't getting TV time that we wanted, but there's also a lot of good performers are going to be. What you get
is the anti-WWE in the sense of there's always fresh matchups and they're not doing rematches almost ever unless it's heavily storyline related. But what you got the handful of guys who are the top guys who are on Dynamite every week, and all these other people they bring in are going to be the guys that they're going to beat for a while, unless they get way over, are going to be the guys that they beat for a while. What has happened is you've gotten a newer mostly, I mean, they're bringing in some young guys to be their third generation, like Lee Moriarty and Daniel Garcia. So right now, you start out, you got your first generation guys, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, John Moxley, Chris Jericho,
and the pillars.
And then you got your second generations, the four pillars, And so now they're starting to bring in the third generation who are going to take over from the second generation: Daniel Garcia, Lee Moriarty, Dante Martin. I'm sure there's some more. I just can't think of right.
I like ready to put the Daniel Garcia in the whole thing.
No, he's great.
Here's my thing: it's like but although I still say Rampage should maybe go to 2 hours, but like as wrestling,
at some point they're going to.
All we care about is like we don't care where anybody's worked up before. Is it has a good story to tell? You want to see good stories on TV, and that's it.
At some point, I think Rampage is going to have. They're going to have to go to a different day, probably like Thursday. But at some point, Rampage is going to have to go to it, which it won't be as good a show, but they're going to have to do it just.
Sure, but even the hour show, I feel like we've been spoiled. We're having like fucking good promos and wrestling for an hour. I mean, Rampage has been kicking ass the last 3 weeks.
There's two things they're going to have to. At some point, they're probably going to have to make Rampage 2 hours, and at some point, they're going to have to start doing like 8 pay-per-views a year instead of 4 because there's just too much.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. But even
they probably should be
so fan friendly, right? Not to even have that many pay-per-views because like we have to pay like $60 every fucking like couple of months.
Yeah.
But like you have that much products on the fucking show that we want to see.
Well, what's happened is, and I suspect it's what's going to continue to happen. What has happened is the main guys who are the main guys of Dynamite have remained the main guys on Dynamite, with the additions of giant over guys like Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, but then and now Malachi Black and Andrade. But most of the other guys have come in. What you ended up having is a new, really, really experienced mid card, which has pushed out the previous inexperienced mid card that they
like mid cards like a new definition now.
Yeah. So you don't see a lot of matches on TV with Nick.
That's like even this John Moxley thing. I was like the good like silver lining is like other people will get a chance to.
Yeah. Joey Janela's pretty much permanently on Dark. I'm sure there's some other ones. There were guys who used to be on TV. It's more obvious. It's probably a bit more obvious in the women's division.
Rising match speak on Dark, so we're good.
It's probably a bit more obvious in the women's division, but it's a lot. Private Party and TH2 have a harder time getting on TV. A lot of that kind of stuff. The mid card is much larger.
Even TH2, my God, experience.
They've got just too many experienced guys in it. Well, I mean, Jack Evans got a main event on Rampage,
but
so it's not like terrible.
Angelico guy.
But it's not like
they had a good run on TV for a while.
And that's probably what's, especially if you because it seems like the no-brainer. So we've got two big things that happened. Like you have all the WWE releases, and it seems like it should definitely be a no-brainer that they should pick up Keith Lee, who would you would expect very quickly would get into the main event.
I really hope they do.
And Ember Moon, who would just further elevate their women's division and give them, they've got what, 2.5, three solid. They've got 3 really, really, really solid workers in the women's division now. Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb, and Ruby Soho. And then you've got and Britt Baker keeps getting better. And then the rest who are
say Chris Statlander, so yeah.
Chris Statlander goes up and down. She's more good than
her gimmick handicaps her.
Yeah. And so you got a lot of like up and comers like Statlander and Red Velvet and Jade Cargill who just they really need they need really experienced people to wrestle against to make them look good. So they need like an Ember Moon is a real help there. The men's groups and the tag team doesn't need that maybe as much, but but it really does it hurt to have a Bobby Fish in your mid card who's going to give you whoever you put him against a really good match? No, it's probably way better than having to hope that this is the week you get a good match out of Joey Janela or something.
I mean, Bobby Fish, you mentioned it. To me, it's a good example because I didn't know much about it before. But even though these matches are kind of, they're more like MMA matches, like he's finishing movies as a shining wizard, right?
Yeah.
But like, you know what? He has the fucking attitude. Like he has like the air of somebody who should win the fucking match he's in, and that's what you want from your fucking wrestler. Yeah. So.
And that's probably what we're gonna do with Tony Nese, who got signed over, who got dropped from 205 like way back when. And he showed up this week on Dynamite, had some of his first matches on Dark. They were good. And Tony Nese, he was the cruiserweight champion at WWE for a long time. And they never do anything with. He's a Bobby Fish. He's a good mid-card guy who can have those. He may or may not ever get over big with everyone else, but doesn't need to. He's gonna be the guy who's gonna lose. He's gonna win for a while, making young guys look really good, and then he's gonna lose to these young guys to make them the next stars. And you need guys who can do that. And,
my problem is I've seen
so that you're not doing 50
additions have been people I like, and like
that's what Matt Seidel's
story wise.
That's
I like
basically what
being
Matt
bored.
Seidel's role is. I mean, Matt Seidel's been doing that kind of. He's been doing that kind of like single-handedly for like a year and a half. So now you got a couple of other guys who've joined in.
Oh, hey,
And
just speaking of, so wasn't that match supposed to be this week?
it is this
The Leo
Wednesday.
Rush,
This
like
Wednesday.
the thing. I
It's
feel
this
like those
Wednesday.
ones that didn't talk about that got pushed to next week.
Well, no, they had the Matt Seidel Dante match on Dynamite last week, so they had that, and then
No, the tag thing was supposed to be like.
well, the tag match fell apart, so they replaced it with a singles match, and now they're doing it again as a second round as a on this week as a tag match, as a new version of the tag match to get some more people some screen time before.
But the funny thing is, like, they're doing this with Leo Rush, and they're like, Dante Martin's still gonna be better than Leo Rush on TV.
Maybe Leo Rush is a lot more experienced, and they have a good complementary style. So it will be interesting to see how they fit together. And some of it's a lot of it's giving Leo Rush a chance to get over. Is he going to be one of the mid-card guys who makes the next round coming up look really good, or is he going to get himself up into that Malachi Black, Miro kind of level? And they give people those chances, and like Miro could have easily ended up in just mid-card level as the best man, showing up every so often to make but not being on pay-per-views. If he hadn't figured out this destroying people Redeemer gimmick and started having those great promos, he wouldn't have made it.
He's like, but God, you're forsaking me.
He got himself. Well, even before he got the TNT title, he got him. When he started crushing people and coming out saying, "I'm going to kill everyone."
Mentioning how his wife was hot,
and mentioning how his wife was. His promos got himself over.
They're forsaking me with my wife. She just splits.
Exactly. Andrade was probably on the cusp of getting moved down to that. If he hadn't been having like those banger matches with Pac and Cody recently, he might have like bumped down. But now people can see what he does.
We can talk about this because on Dr. Elevation this week, the best match by far was Pac versus Tiger
Ruiz.
Yes,
Tiger Ruiz.
Eddie Gordo from Tekken.
Well, he was. Well, I know. No, he was another guy who was a former NXT guy where he was Antonio Ruiz. He's a legit MMA fighter who's been in their development system for a while.
MMA fighters.
Yeah, and he's not experienced enough yet. But he's decent, and Pac made him look really good. That was a great match.
Pac is a fucking awesome performer.
Yeah. He is. Yeah. And it's totally worth it to watch Dark when you can watch something Pac go on Dark.
Yeah,
you can watch like Bryan Danielson go on Dark and wrestle Aaron Solo, and they're gonna have a great match. And you can watch Pac go on Dark and with Tiger Ruiz, and they'll have a great match. And
again, why I love that fucking CM Punk burn, because he was like, "Oh, we're doing Dark Elevation," but like he said, he's not going to go on the shows.
Yeah. That was great. But you have such great stuff. And apparently, I can't wait to see this. There was a match from a never before announced or seen masked wrestler named Infinity, who many believe had a remarkable physical resemblance to Bryan Danielson, but did none of Bryan Danielson's moves. So I'm it's a dark match that has been taped but not aired yet. It was taped in that same batch. So it's coming up in like a couple of weeks. It was taped in that same batch where Bryan Danielson wrestled Aaron Solo. They had a match with this guy called Infinity, who's in like this head to toe green bodysuit with a green mask. And people were like,
well, that tells me that Bryan Danielson fucking loves to wrestle. That's
what it tells you. He's just gonna come out here and have fun. He's like, you want me to go on Dark? Yeah, I'd love to go on fucking Dark. Can I wear a mask and wrestle as a totally different wrestler
right now? Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm interested in that. You know what? I want to see Too Fast, Too Fuego wrestle on Dynamite, because that would be a super fun match.
Well, I mean, the most interesting that Fuego del Sol's being, and definitely the most interesting that Cody's in. So go for it.
Hey, Fuego del Sol's over.
You told me about it before, but it was kind of hokey when they're like, he has the dream tattoo, and like, I don't know, is that Cody or not? I'm like, come on, this is how you want to be cheered? You can't get cheered against Malachi Black, so you have to do this shit now.
You know what?
It was great. Like, you want to say, oh yeah.
That's just because you can tell it's somebody who's having fun.
It's cheap,
No, not at all. No, I don't buy that. It can't be not cheap when Bryan Danielson does it, but cheap when Cody.
No, but it's Cody. He runs the company. That's this whole thing he doesn't want to be cheered against. So yeah.
No, I don't buy it.
I can't call him out on that.
I don't buy it at all. The fact that he runs the company doesn't matter. He's not, and I think this is one thing where people trip up. He's not Triple H. He's as close to like the anti-Triple H as you're gonna get.
No, I mean, if you start doing 20 fucking 5-minute promos at the beginning of every show, then he's Triple H. Yeah. Thank God he's not that.
No. Yeah. What else?
It was just pandering when he was like, "Hey, so cheer, like, I'm still gonna be here for you," and everyone's like, you're saying you're not pandering. It's one of those things like, don't touch the red button. But
he's not. He was definitely intentionally pandering. He knew exactly what. He was doing.
So work shoot. That's what you're saying. That's your whole thing. Like, yeah, this is work. It's all work.
He knew, it's all work. He knew exactly what he was doing. All of that was work. 100%. He knows what he knows what he's doing. Oh, the other thing I've heard that is they're saying that your favorite wrestler, Anthony Ogogo, is back in the U.S. Apparently, he's finally finished recovering.
I mean, that's
from his eye surgery. No, he's
obviously my favorite wrestler is QT Marshall.
That's actually true. You're right. What am I saying? Your second favorite.
Are you ready for that word?
After QT Marshall.
And he goes, "Yeah, no, my right hand's fun now. I can punch people." That's and right. So Cody's going to go over him weirdly for some fucking reason. It's a big review. So yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, from what I've heard, like the entire plan up until near the end was for Anthony. If anything, Anthony Ogogo
should be part of Cody's heel turn right now.
No. Yeah, I think a heel turn for Cody would be a big mistake.
I don't want people like say they don't like me.
He never said that. People say that about him. I think people
for fuck's sake. That is
no, it's not. I think people are applying are trying to apply a MO to him that is not there, and they are seeing like what he says through that lens.
I mean, Josh, you're a very good writer. Yeah. Why would you just take where the story takes you? Why would you go against that?
Because it might not be the right place to go.
Why would you force that narrative?
I don't know if they're forcing it, but sometimes you got to look and go like, no, long term, this is bad. So let's not do it.
I mean, the only thing I would kind of agree with you is that, again, I guess anybody other than Malachi, he would be cheered, but you're not going to be cheered against Malachi Black.
Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but he's not going to spend his whole life wrestling Malachi Black.
But also, don't explain it. Just move on to the next feud.
Well, he's not explaining about getting booed against Malachi. He's just moving on. He is moving on to the next feud. Yeah, I think you're reading stuff into it that's not there. Yeah, I think a lot of people are reading stuff into it that's not there. I think a lot of it happens all the time, and then it's like that. Well, it's happening right now with the story. No, because it's happening right now with Full Gear, and we might as well talk about it because we can't go on against every show, and Full Gear is coming up in just 6 days, and we can't talk about like every show we've missed, even though they were, this has been a great run. This has been a great run of AEW with a bunch of fantastic main events and everything running up to Full Gear, and obviously the Prime story is
the fucking nutshot block from John Silver was the best thing I've seen since Page.
No, Adam's Page taking the Muffin Man head and then not being able to take the costume off over his boots and waddling off the stage wearing it around his ankles the rest of the time. Everything about that was just perfect. Perfect from beginning to end.
Adam Cole being like, John Silver beat me. He's like, I be sure beat me, Budge. Although I do think the Budge thing is stupid, but yeah.
It's stupid in a good way. It is stupid, but it's stupid in a good way. And you even got Jungle Boy actually going out there and cutting some promos. He beat the crap out of Brandon Cutler. Jungle Boy. And he beat the crap out of Brandon Cutler and was cutting a promo against the Elite, and he came out here. He's actually getting a lot better.
You're right. That's a big deal because at least Brandon Cutler beat the shit out of Peter Avalon. See,
that's true. We haven't seen in a while, so that's another group that's getting pushed out of the mix. Actually, I think they were all on the.
I've been casting up a BCE on being the Elite, and apparently Nick a big part of that whole thing. So yeah,
yeah. Well, it's a lot of. I know a lot of guys were on the Jericho cruise, which was happening over the last couple of weeks, which is why they weren't on the show.
I was considering going into it this year until I figured out it was already over. But also,
there's another one coming up. There's another one coming up in April.
They're going to cruise, and also cruise with Florida people.
Yeah. Sorry, Florida people. Who might be watching
Sorry, Florida.
But so let's talk about Full Gear. But the thing I want to say to you, like the danger of the expectation narrative, because we saw it a lot at Double or Nothing last year. It's already starting to build at Full Gear this year, where you've got there are a bunch of wrestlers who have been let go the last two periods from WWE. Oh, and while we were talking about that, we didn't even talk about the fact that
nothing's going to beat the last pay-per-view at all.
I know. We didn't even talk about
the level
the fact
surprise
that
is not going to happen.
No. Well, we didn't even talk. Well, they don't ever. I mean, it's a thing, but we didn't even talk about the fact that ROH closed down as well. So now there is a ton of Ring of Honor wrestlers who are also looking for contracts who could also.
Which, by the way, like a lot of people hate AEW for what they think is baiting ROH.
No.
And causing this to happen.
No, you've got
some, a little suppositional.
You've got some stupid fans who feel that way. ROH did that as much as anything else, but and ROH management did feel that way, but the ROH wrestlers still really like the AEW guys.
I mean, restructuring is different. They didn't say they're different. It's they have to do their contracts different. That's it.
And AEW would be a great place for Jonathan Gresham to land. AEW would be a great place for the Briscoes to land. You couldn't go wrong with having another really great tag team there. But there
was the other Motor Machine Guns.
Those guys are those guys are an Impact. And
I was you Shelton Benjamin still WWE. So
yeah. I mean, they're still around, but there are guys that you can pick up. Also, we should mention that that the Impact stuff finally finished. Christian Cage lost the Impact title championship at Bound for Glory.
To Moose?
No, he lost to Josh Alexander, and then 5 seconds later, and Josh Alexander, because Moose had won a Money in the Bank at that pay-per-view earlier in the pay-per-view, and in the middle of the end of the show, right after Josh Alexander won it, 5 seconds later, Moose came out to do his call your shot and won it. And that's how the show ended. I'm like, that's so stupid. That's some brain dead WWE booking there. You're just, there's somebody in there thinking we'll get some heat. And now Josh Alexander can be on the chase against Moose. I'm like, nope. What you're going to do is nobody's going to care about the title. Nobody's going to care if he wins again because you made it.
I actually read a brilliant article talking about how fucking Matt Cardona got heat in every fucking place he went, as Zack Ryder and everything else. That guy knew how to.
He's still doing it. He's the most hated guy in GCW. And
you're the one telling me it's so brilliant that people hated him.
Good. He is so good at getting heat. When he won that title and he's still doing it, he put out this long Instagram thing recently about how the GCW guys should act like professional wrestlers, that they need to observe a dress code, show up for their shows in coats or dresses. I'm like, this is brilliant. This is some great trolling. I mean, this is how you get heat. Forget all that other nonsense.
Real y'all don't even know how to get heat outside of masks. That's you don't know how to get heat.
Yeah. But since you got all these guys out here now, and everyone's going what are the surprises going to be for Full Gear? Is Bray Wyatt going to show up for Full Gear?
But you know what? You turn me off. If Bray Wyatt was going to show up, he's going to show up. I don't think.
Well, the thing is, can anybody think of a time when there has been a pay-per-view, an All Elite pay-per-view that somebody didn't show up who wasn't heavily rumored? What's happened is all these times, everybody, the fan side has gone we really want these guys to show up. There is absolutely no reason to expect that they will, but there's lots of reasons to. Well, it was when Christian Cage showed up at Double or Nothing, and everybody was going, someone's going to show up. You're expecting it's CM Punk. AEW never said CM Punk. There were absolutely no hints it was going to be CM Punk, but. No. At Double or Nothing, we did not know it was CM Punk. You had a lot of guys who wanted to be CM Punk, but there was absolutely no reason.
No, we thought it was going to be Daniel Bryan until Adam Cole came up, and then it was also
no, not All Out. Talking about 2 pay-per-views earlier. Actually, a year, more than that, a year. Yeah. No, the one where Christian Cage came out and got signed, and they said a new guy is going to come in, a top wrestler is going to come in and get signed, and. The next day. And people were going it's CM Punk, it's Bryan Danielson. There was no hint it was any of those guys, but that's what people wanted. So, and then it turned out to be Christian Cage, and everyone well, this is a big letdown. Why? They didn't say it was going to be any of those guys. The fan community created a narrative. And when that they had no reason to create,
your marketing team is no.
they had no reason to expect. And absolutely no hints that it would happen. And so when the thing that they were pretty much told wasn't going to happen didn't happen, they went, oh, we got let down. You should have followed our narrative. And that's kind of what's happened with Cody now. You have a bunch of stuff that told categorically isn't going to happen.
Rush. And like, you know, like I was like, oh, even like first there was Brian Cage, and I was like, who the fuck is Brian Cage? And now I feel like I'm the only Brian Cage fan. I'm like, yeah,
well, you might be, but no, it was like, it's like, you know, when you're told that, especially from AEW, when you're told the thing that's categorically not going to happen isn't going to happen, then it's not going to happen. And starting and sitting and saying, well, it should happen, and if it doesn't happen, we're disappointed. Where you guys are doing that to yourself. So it's like when we knew when it started to get rumored, when CM Punk was actually coming, it was the worst kept secret. And AEW didn't go out there and say he's not coming. They said we're not saying anything. Of course, he was coming. And then when it started, and when Bryan Danielson was coming, it was starting to get heavily. You know, it wasn't like a surprise. It was starting to get heavily rumored that Bryan Danielson. Well, you know, even Adam Cole, everyone was talking about, and they were talking about it in a, it's coming. We just don't know when, because we know he had a thing that happened last week, and he's being very quiet. And when we know, like 2 days before, 2 days before All Out, he's talking to Vince. So we don't know how it's going to go, because he doesn't know how it's going to go. But like everything else, but they didn't say no, it's definitely not happening. Anytime they say no, something's definitely not happening, it's not happening. Like they don't lie. They tell you what they're going to do. And then they do the thing they say they're going to do. Yeah. And they very rarely do something they haven't said. Yeah. And they very rarely do something they haven't said they're going to do. So like right now, no one is talking about Bray Wyatt. Like no one who's around these shows
mentioning that he's not coming.
There's multiple people saying, like, I don't think he's coming. There's no hints at all that he's coming.
He was one Impact last week.
There's no hints that Braun Strowman's coming. There's no hints that any of these ROH. Yeah, well, I mean, but I'm just talking about like people who were rumored because they're known. Yeah. There are no hints that any of these ROH guys. There's no hints that like Jonathan Gresham or Jay Briscoe or someone is coming. Yeah. But you know, there's no hints that Okada or someone from New Japan is coming.
I mean, fuck, Malachi. That was a huge surprise.
Yeah. But those are rare. I mean, that's just because it was. But even though there's like no hint any of these guys are coming, you have all these different areas of the fan side who are saying, I bet you they show up. Which one of the guys are showing up? Because they're just like, there's no reason there must be a surprise guy showing up, because there's usually not. Actually, more often than not, AEW pay-per-views do not have some surprise guy coming out of nowhere and showing up. But they can't help themselves, especially after All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, the last one was Malachi. The other one, well, Adam Cole to me, but I feel like if I was plugged in more, I would have figured it out.
Maybe Miro, maybe Miro, but
even Malachi thing, he was supposed to 30-day, 90-day contract, right? That's
exactly, and that was just the thing where nobody knew what his contract was, so they didn't know it was possible.
Yeah,
but because if they had known, they would have been rumoring it all over the place. But you know, so they're going to create a narrative where it's going to be, if he doesn't show up, oh, they've let us down because we didn't get a surprise show up.
Honestly, I actually like that.
Is the fans creating a narrative,
surprise,
and they're saying, and they're saying like AEW has done something wrong because they didn't match our narrative. It doesn't work that way. Just like AEW tells you what the narrative. I will only be disappointed if they don't follow through on a narrative that they've told you, because AEW tells you what the narrative is going to be, and then they do it. Like
everyone else take a different type of bullshit. Yeah,
exactly. Like everyone's expecting.
Like what WWE would do, what Vince would do.
Yeah. So like, just to fuck with people.
Yeah, because
regardless of what it screws up all of its long-term booking. So like for 2 years, AEW has been building up that Adam Page is going to kick out of the One-Winged Angel at Full Gear and then beat Kenny Omega and be the new champion. And this is what everyone is expecting. No, I think both of those things. He basically has to do both of those things. Like one of them is fine, but he really has to do both. And like the giant expectation, this is what's going to sell. The thing that's going to sell Full Gear is Adam Page beating Kenny Omega. This is what everyone's expecting, because this is what they've been telling us that they are going to do. And if it's like if CM Punk hadn't shown up at the United Center, people were like, you guys lied to us and now we'll never trust you.
Which you knew was never going to happen. Like, even like, who was on the show, like, he has to be the first one on the show, because you don't want to hear people saying cheese and Punk for the whole fucking show.
Exactly. They did, you know, because there are morons out there going, you know what? I think Adam Page should lose so that we can have Kenny Omega versus CM Punk next year, or they're saying like,
maybe
Adam,
like that doesn't make sense to me.
I know, or they're saying like Adam should win, but then like the next night he should immediately lose to MJF. I'm like, you guys are more.
But that's another thing. So you know how CM Punk said that during his promo, he was like, "Oh, you don't get to see me versus like Bryan Danielson or versus Miro." I'm like, yeah, because story-wise, this makes the most sense, right? Like,
this
he said it sarcastically, but like for people like actually knew, it was like, no, this is actually what makes the most sense right now.
They've told us
scene right now. Yeah,
they've told us what they're gonna do, and they do what they tell us they're gonna do. They never do something they haven't told us they're gonna do. They will, if something's coming up, they will very, very, very strongly hint at it. Unless they just get something out of the blue that they have to take advantage of right away.
I mean, to me, the biggest swerve lately is that, like, when you saw that, like, Adam Cole shot a nut shot to fucking, like, John Silver, and he was like, no, Team Elijah on that shit. It's like, no, no, not shot. He's a spin out powerball. One of the best near fall sequences I've ever seen, by the way. That was fucking awesome. Like, shit.
So let's talk about the matches that we know are going to happen. I don't know which match is going to. Usually we can pick like the two matches that are most likely to be the blowaway matches of a card.
Oh shit!
And this year I don't know because they've got so you know what, Kenny puts on like a giant great match, and Kenny will work really hard to have a blowaway match. So usually I would expect that one to be the one, but Danielson does the same thing. Can Danielson have a better match? Miro? His matches with Miro. Can Bryan Danielson have a better match with Miro than Kenny Omega can have with Adam Page?
Kenny could still win because like that's what they're setting up. So whoever wins that match versus more than like Page.
No.
I mean, I don't think
yes, they're going to do that.
Go.
No, they're not. There's no way on earth they're going to do that. That would be the worst possible thing they could do for business, and no one would ever.
I said we're spoiled as wrestling fans. You can see this shit. Right?
What's going to happen? No, I think what they want to do, if they are smart, what they're doing is they're going to make Adam Page, because they have to have a main event pay-per-view guys who can draw, who are not guys coming from someplace else. And Adam Page, and they've been building up Adam Page to be that. So now they got to test if he can do that. But in order to do that, they've got to put him against other guys. So I feel like they're setting up. I feel like they're setting up Adam Page's like first title offense against Bryan Danielson, because they know that's going to be a great match.
But let me interject this real quick, because here's one thing.
And also, if Adam Page is the first person to beat Bryan Danielson in AEW, it's a giant rub for him.
But he's facing Kenny Omega first.
He's gonna beat Kenny Omega. That's basically a foregone. That's what I'm saying.
Bryan Danielson?
Bryan Danielson's? I don't think there's any universe where Bryan Danielson doesn't go over Miro. I think Bryan Danielson. I think the reason that you have Bryan Danielson in the final of this title eliminator, even if it was Moxley, I think Bryan Danielson would have won. So they are setting up for Bryan Danielson to be. So what I'm saying is like, it's not just that they got it, because you can't just think about putting the title on Adam Page. You got to think about what he does afterwards, because you've got to make him a guy who can draw 250,000 buys on a pay-per-view, which he's never done. Which means
Adam Page, because Adam Page is being like a drinking guy,
right?
And with the thing that John Moxley's been going through, do you think they're going to go away from that whole like, hey, like that is Adam Page's character, like he like almost like Stone Cold, like I'm the guy that drinks. Mm-hmm. Do you think they're kind of going to go away from that? Because
I don't think it's going to. Yes, but I don't think it's going to have anything to do with John Moxley. I think they would have done that anyway, because all of that was tied into his
subtle thing that you write out of the thing. But like that's, you never would just see him like drinking by himself.
I don't think so. No, I think all of that was tied to his character storyline of having no confidence in himself,
and also make him relatable.
He was replacing his confidence. He was replacing like his lack of confidence in himself with liquid courage to get him through all of this stuff. Well, now that he's
Stampede match, remember, like he was drinking myself in the bar and just working horse.
Now that he's got the self confidence to beat Kenny, and especially once he beats Kenny, he's going to realize. Thanks to Dark Order. He's going to realize he doesn't need that, and he's going to be like the complete package. And I don't think they will have him do it. I think you might see him with. I think you might see him with the beer every once in a while, because well, I don't know. Well, it's like the cowboy shit. Drink my beer. Having him go around and drink like the fans' beer at ringside thing really got him over, and I think it still would really get over So it's
Yeah,
worthwhile to do that.
He was like, I'd rather drink a beer than hang out with anybody. Like that type of thing. Right?
But not that. No, he's going to be. He should be a gregarious babyface champion.
Yeah,
is what he should be.
I mean,
I mean, that's the idea that's what they've been building him up to be. So that's what I expect him to be. So no, so I think now they're going to start putting him against big name guys that he's going to beat to make you think he's a big name guy that you want to see his. And they're going to put him in matches where you're like, I don't, because you put him in a main title match with Bryan Danielson, you're going to go, I don't know who's going to win, because Danielson's theoretically a higher name card, and I can totally and a better wrestler, so I can totally see him winning. So big question mark on but then if Adam Page is the first person to hand Bryan Danielson his loss, like, okay, you got to start taking him seriously. You start seeing Adam Page. Yeah, it is. No, it's 100% going to happen, because they're going to have that match on TV, and they are not going to.
Wait, you think you're calling now that Adam Page will hand Bryan Danielson his first his loss?
Yes, I will call that now. Yes,
all right.
100%. I will take any bets for any amounts of dollars from anyone of that Bryan, because they are having that.
You sound very quick to part with the 50 cents right now.
Well, let me tell you. So now it'll be interesting to see how long they wait for it. But so the end of the tournament is on the pay-per-view. Miro versus Danielson to name the next number one contender is on the pay-per-view.
Danielson's winning that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But it's going to be fun to watch.
It'll be fun. Danielson's winning that, because they're not going to let Miro hand him his first loss. I might have, if it had been Moxley, I would have said, I don't know. I suspect Danielson, but I don't know.
That's
Miro, I do know.
It's like, I was actually really kind of invested in the Moxley storyline because he like fucking tore apart 10. Like, I think they're building up to be Vicious Killer, like the whole time.
Well, that's why Miro's such like a good replacement, because it was going to be like Moxley the Killer versus Danielson, the super wrestler, and who was going to be able to survive that.
Like Miro, the fucking.
But Miro is a good killer. Makes a good killer too. So that'll.
No, that's what I'm saying. That would be a fucking fantastic win.
Yeah. But that's the first show after Full Gear is at Adam Page's hometown, and this is not WWE. He's so I'd say don't be surprised if he doesn't immediately take on the new number one contender in his hometown the day after, the first Dynamite after.
As a face, the fighting champion. We love that shit. Like,
because Bryan Danielson's going to win that, and they're not going to immediately beat Adam Page, within a month of his first victory with Bryan Danielson.
He beat Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega for a draw and a fucking fantastic match. But it was very made clear to us like it wasn't for the title, just for like basically bragging rights.
Right.
But we do want to see fucking him fight him again.
At some point, 100%. I would say, don't be surprised if at Revolution that's one of the matches. That's like at the next pay-per-view, it's the Kenny Omega Bryan Danielson rematch. Yeah. I think that's a money match. But but look at it
tested well, right?
But look at like the long-term story that they're telling. Like Bryan Danielson couldn't beat Kenny Omega, but Kenny Omega couldn't beat Bryan Danielson. But now you're at a point where Adam Page can beat Kenny Omega, so he can probably beat the guy who couldn't beat Kenny Omega.
Like a draw booking can either be lazy or brilliant, and this way it was actually brilliant.
It was brilliant. So I would say don't be surprised if at Revolution the match is either Adam Page. There's three guys. There are after it's going to be Bryan Danielson's going to be first, and they're going to do it on TV to draw a big rating, because that's just what they've decided. No, it'll be on Dynamite. They'll 100% do that on Dynamite.
I'm saying Rampage is a great show.
It's a great show, but for a big rating, they have to do it on Dynamite, because that's where people watch.
Okay, you're right.
So after that, it's just more people watch on Wednesday in primetime than they do on Friday on primetime. That's just reality. You're not going to get a million people watch. They're not going to want to do their big title defense with Bryan Danielson for less than 1 million people, and they're not going to get 1 million people to watch on Friday at 10 o'clock. It's just the way it is. So after that, after Bryan Danielson, in my mind, you've got 3 main pay-per-view level contenders for Hangman. You've got CM Punk, you got Miro, you got Adam Cole. All 3 of those are pay-per-view main events.
Even Adam Cole, like, I feel like we're elevating him to that. I feel like he'd be like perfectly happily doing what he's doing now, but we know he's that type of player.
Well, I think they have him doing what he's doing now, so he can be on the pay-per-view. They're like, we're not putting him in the main event, but as soon as we can, we're gonna.
I also feel like backdoor, like building up some type. Back in my mind, every time I see AEW book their matches, I'm like, they're building up to a 3-on-3 belts.
Yep, feels
you
like
know,
it.
Super
Certainly feels like it.
Like the 3-on-3 thing. They haven't said it yet, but like they keep booking 3-on-3 matches.
Well, it's a really good way. It's a really good way to keep multiple storylines going at once when you have limited time. I mean, that's something New Japan does that all the time.
Oh,
because they have. I mean, they actually have 3-on-3 belts, but they don't. But they do a lot of those. They do a lot of 3-on-3 and 4-on-4, where even when there's no belt at stake, because they have to, because they'll have like 4 feuds going on at once, and they've got limited number of matches.
On TV.
Yeah. That's the thing. It gets more, it gets more people. It's like people who were complaining about Santana and Ortiz getting back in inner circle stuff. I'm like, no, if they weren't doing inner circle stuff right now, they wouldn't be on the pay-per-view.
My problem with Santana and Ortiz is people don't recognize they're doing Dead Presidents. No one even saw that movie. So
oh, I knew it was Dead Presidents. Yeah.
We saw that movie because we're old.
The only other pay-per-view guy I could think of besides those 3 is MJF. And I feel like they're going to hold that off for a long time, because the smart money is that MJF is next after Adam Page. That'd be my guess.
They're building up with the Pillars thing. I think
the Pillars thing.
Long game.
You want the whole thing. The Pillars thing. You want a heel champion after your face champion. He makes the most sense. MJF, and then from MJF you have probably not Darby, because Darby has said he's not interested in that title. He's interested in the TNT title. So I wouldn't be surprised if after MJF. After MJF, you either go to Jungle Boy or someone new that they brought in. But that's like now you're talking like 2 years.
People have heard about how much I love MJF, but that guy that doesn't care about being over. He cares about being a heel. It's like I don't want people like if people cheered him, he'd be like, "Fuck you! I'll give you a reason not to cheer me." And you gotta love that about a guy, dude.
So let's see what else.
It's dedication to being a heel, to being an asshole. That's awesome.
I'm trying to think of what else that they have on the pay-per-view. So there's going to be Lucha Brothers and FTR. Should be great. Right. And that it's going to be Tay Conti and Britt Baker for the women's championship.
Oh, right.
Which they've announced. I don't think there's going to be any TBS matches, so I think that will be the only women's match for this pay-per-view.
Who do you think with that? Do you think Jade or Ruby?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Jade. Like the 2 they make no sense are either Jade or Thunder, but I think they're holding Thunder for Britt Baker. So I suspect Jade.
I think they're reserving Thunder for Britt. I think it could be Jade or Ruby, but I'm still going to go with Jade for that.
Yeah, I think Jade. I think they don't want to beat Jade, which is and that's good because that ends in January. So that means when we get to Revolution, now you got 2 women's matches on Revolution because you should have a defense for both titles. For both the women's title and the TBS title on Revolution.
Yeah, but Britt's not losing that title for a while.
not till some point next year. They're gonna hold that
up. Someone's worth it, like to take it from her, basically.
Yeah. Well, they like to most of the time they like to have people hold titles for like 2 to 3 pay-per-views, just to to keep them strong. That it really means something when somebody loses a title.
Yeah. That's not saying like took the title from like a fucking rare to begin with, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what else is on there. There's Danielson versus Miro.
Is that on the card? Like, is there a TNT title defense?
Not yet.
Sammy fighting somebody?
Sammy's doing the stuff with Inner Circle against America's Top Team. So no TNT title defense. Which is going to be, I mean, that's going to be a circus. It's going to be that's an attraction. That's not a match. It's an attraction because you've got Junior Dos Santos and Orlovsky on there.
Yeah, Dan Lambert's like been
Dan Lambert. Hey, he's great at that. He is legitimately great at that.
If you're match, you don't have like Broken Matt Hardy like Damascus.
Yeah, but it's hilarious. But that's
the element of the unknown type of thing that you're not gonna get with it.
That one's like Mr.
Or
T.
Neo even? What Neo to?
I don't know. But that one's like Mr. T at WrestleMania. That's an attraction match where it's just.
And that guy's so good. Because when you're here, like stop saying what I'm saying, you're like, oh, that's.
He's so great. He was so angry. Like, Paige Van Sant was really good, and about that. Lambert was.
Apparently, your OnlyFans is actually a thing.
Yes, it is actually a thing.
Yeah,
it is actually a thing. But she's got if she wants to become a pro wrestler,
every time.
Hey, she's comfortable on the mic. I don't know what her ring skills would be like, but she's definitely got a career in wrestling if she wants to do it.
Talking.
She can do it. But yeah, Lambert was great. It's like, stop saying it. Don't you dare sing that song. Stop saying it.
Don't press
It's
the red
great.
button.
Don't press the red button.
Tell us not to do something we're gonna do.
And it gets, from my mind, it gets Santana Ortiz and Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky on pay-per-view. I don't remember the last time Scorpio Sky was on pay-per-view.
Scorpio Sky need this. Like,
they really do.
So great. Like, I thought they were good on their own.
The attraction stuff gets them in there. There's only so much space, and like I was just saying, I cannot remember the last time Scorpio Sky was on the
and like you're saying, like this gets another crowd in there, right? Like,
I should take it back. I think the last time he was,
yeah.
I think it gets eyeballs on it. It may be one of the parts that has the most eyeballs because it has all the outside people.
And you have a fucking great heel manager like Dan Lambert.
Well, because I think like the last time Scorpio Sky was on pay-per-views, they did one of their casino ladder matches. So he just doesn't get on very often.
Right?
So yeah, before that it was when he was a tag team champion. So anything that gets him onto it.
Doing Misfit like SCU, am I correct? In my opinion,
there's MJF versus Darby Allin, which actually could be a sleeper for blowaway match. Because I expect that to be really good.
When Sting brought out Darby imposters instead of Sting imposters.
I know. Where were it should have been Sting imposters. It should have been. And that's okay, because you got Darby parting the Red Sea and then that fantastic clothesline from hell.
Yeah.
They haven't announced it yet, but everyone's expecting Cody and Pac versus Andrade and Aleister Black or Malachi Black, and that should be a really good.
Yeah, because Cody has to be cheered.
That should be at this point. It doesn't matter whether he's cheered or not. It just matters whether it's a good
match. Yeah,
it's gonna be. That's gonna. I saw. I saw a.
That match against Cody is fucking awesome.
I saw a house show match that was a three-way between WWE house show match. It was a three-way between Aleister Black, Andrade, and Sami Zayn. That was super great. So I know that those two guys can have like a super great match, and they will put on a show for a pay-per-view level match.
So Aleister Black is not booked for an actual match for the next pay-per-view. He's just in the background for the Cody match almost.
Well, I think it's gonna be a tag match. I think it's gonna be Cody and Pac as a tag team versus Andrade and Malachi as a tag team.
I would love to see a match, but really from a creative standpoint, why would Pac want to team with Cody?
Because he doesn't want to. It's more like the enemy of my
you would
enemy.
think that Cody would drag him down, right? I mean, come on.
Well, it's more like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Well, but also like it's not they have the thing built up on his thing more against Andrade. Yeah,
it'll work because
I'm gonna see like Aleister Black just kicking a bunch of people's faces in.
Pac's got heat with Andrade. Cody's got heat with Andrade. Yeah. Pac has a relationship with Malachi Black. It'll work.
Like I feel like the Pac Andrade. I think the Pac Andrade.
They've even made
that could be a good long term feud.
It is. It is really good, and they've made like some really cool stuff.
I'm not saying it is because it's not. It has to be.
Yeah, but like they even mentioned that Malachi Black was married to Andrade's former manager. Like naming no names, but they even use like real world background storytelling to explain
the storyline. So
to explain why this pairing makes sense.
The figure four makes more sense like the whole thing.
Yeah. No, they like there's like no, like we're not gonna act like these guys never worked at other companies and that stuff didn't happen. We're gonna say it happened and use that to explain our current stories. Like Punk going all in on Amazing Red and Samoa Joe and why they didn't think much of Eddie Kingston.
Is like, this is a shot. This is the only professional wrestling company.
I thought that was great. I mean, it was a shot, but that was great.
I'm okay with taking shots at WWE because we were like, oh, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, I get it. Like, ideally, remember we were a class. You're like, don't talk about Argus and not anybody else. It's like, that's fine, but like when you're the people on the bottom, it's a big deal to come up against people. Like, so if that gets people for you on your side, that's fine.
Yep. Let's see what else. There's going to be Adam Cole and Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. That might be the blowaway. Oh, Jurassic Express.
Also, like it's hilarious because like the kissing thing is very intimate. That's
why it's funny.
So like I get it, like I'm close to my friends too, but like if our thing was like kissing each other on the cheek and that's what we saw each other, I'm like that's an intimate
That's
move.
why it's funny. But
like DVD,
I think
you're mad about Tony Schiavone talking to Britt Baker, but yet you let your
he's a heel, of course, because he's a heel. I expected That's right. I expect Jurassic Express to go over, and Dark Order should come out
Really?
in the
You
middle of
think
that.
Jurassic
Yes.
is over?
Yes, I 100% think Jurassic Express is going to go over. I'll be very surprised if they don't. Now that the Young Bucks,
I would think
because
these-
Jurassic, no, because Jurassic Express
story-wise-
needs to win.
story-wise, yes, but
Jurassic Express needs to win. Young Bucks need to be able to get beaten by one of the new young teams. And now that Young Bucks don't have the title, it's a lot easier to beat them.
oh my god, you're right, because because they don't have the title, they want that storyline. So has Christian Cage effectively replaced Marco Stunt?
Well, he can wrestle. He can get in there. I mean, he's there to obviously to show to get Jungle Boy ready to be a main eventer is what he's there, and he's doing it. I mean, you can see Jungle Boy getting more and more confident.
Like a Jungle Boy anymore.
No, he wears a shirt and puts his hair back, and
like
he talks on camera.
The Jungle Jack Perry or whatever.
Yeah, he talks like a normal human being and says like, "Hey, that was a great warm up match. I want to beat up some more of you guys." It sounds like a baby face.
I don't remember Tarzan saying this stuff, but okay.
It's working. Whatever it is they're doing, it's working.
Don't ask me. I mean, Rudyard Kipling was the most racist person ever, basically, and I love Jungle Books.
I don't know if he was the most racist person ever, but he was.
I don't know. Well, he has a lot of competition for that title.
He has a lot of competition for that
the phrase
title.
"white man's burden," which was
yes, he did.
racist.
Kind of. He was very much a man of his time.
Although, wait, is that how you treat our podcast, Josh? Is this your burden? Cut the commercial.
Cut the commercial. Right now, right this second, this is Josh Man's burden.
Where am I, mic? I was like CM Punk, but not nearly as cool. But I'm kind of as old.
And that's all the time we have today.
No, I know you like to end our shows on my controversies. Whether it be like, QT Marshall being good or like me just challenging everyday racism.
Because those two things are completely equivalent as well.
I mean, for our team, the factory, they might be the same. I don't know.
Might
talk to Ricardo. How's he doing?
My contention was QT is really good at making you want to see him get beat up. And I think that he is.
Look, because I mean, seriously, even I hated the Young Bucks for their faces because I want to be against them, right? Because I don't think there should be good faces. So they leaned into a hardcore being healed. So QT, I do appreciate it. Yeah, no one's going to cheer me, so I can boo me. Yeah, like Cody Rhodes. That's what I'm saying. If no one wants to cheer you, let people boo you.
Well, yeah, but it's not that nobody wants to cheer him. He's getting mixed reactions, and a lot of it depends on who he's wrestling.
And I'll admit, I think it's only because he fought Malachi Black. He fought anybody else.
He even got mixed reactions. I know that's true, but like when he came and he chased Malachi Black out with a chair, he got cheered. And during his last match with Malachi, it was probably more boos than cheers, but it wasn't 100% boos. And during his match with Andrade, it was probably 50-50.
It was way more 50-50 than he would like. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know. He goes with whatever.
We would like thing. I don't know. Just it's a wrestling. Like, you just if people want to boo you, that's fine. Make it a good story.
Well, that's what he said. He said like if they want to boo me, boo me. If you want to cheer me, and that's fine. I'm going to be me. I think what you ultimately have to do, and this is where it's what it is. It's like a gimmick that is not you is never going to work. Like if Cody goes out there and is playing heel, but doesn't feel it, so it's going to be shit. So if he does, like MJF wouldn't be such a great heel if he didn't really want to be. You can go out and
goes out of his way to be that.
He goes out of his way because that's what he wants.
He'll find something about your family. He's like, "Fuck you." Yeah.
Your gimmick should always be, basically an extension of yourself, just amplified. And if Cody, if Cody doesn't feel like he's that guy, so he's like, I can't be that guy.
I don't like to make you feel bad. So
yeah, he would probably not be a good heel, and the whole thing would implode on itself because then if he turns around and does the thing everybody wants,
I get that,
and nobody, and it's not
doesn't work. More diverse and more like flexible in the way.
Well, I mean, he obviously can be because he was a heel almost his entire time.
He really has been. The way that he just said, "I'm not going to be that anymore," regardless of what the fans want.
Well, that's who he is. He's being himself. Well, I mean, it goes both ways. There's like
I feel like don't tell people that.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, that's the way he's going. Like, you'll probably never see MJF as a face. Maybe he'll never come out. And maybe nobody would try. Maybe nobody would try to cheer him and into turning into one. Maybe he'd never come out and say, "I'll never be a face," but he's never going to be one because it wouldn't work.
But what a good extreme example, because I can't even think of an example. MJF's like, yeah, I'm the good guy now. I'm like, really? Because you were even the bad guy that cheered you before, but now you're actually
like, it's probably one reason. It's probably one reason why it's easier for them to have a lot of their heels be guys who are just like, I want to beat everyone up. Because it's easy for like Pac to be kind of babyface because he's still basically Pac.
Look, he's still the bastard.
He's still the bastard. He's just got worse evil to fight against.
But he didn't you do like thumbs in the eyes or like typical like heel shit. He's just a bastard.
He's just a bastard. He's gonna come scowl and beat bad guys up.
But MJF is a good example because that's one of the things like, well, why do you not want to be a face? That's the thing. He never wanted to be a face. He would never
want to be a face because it wouldn't be it would not fit what he does. You know, I would have a hard time seeing Max Caster as a baby face because it would not fit what he does.
By the way, that's another guy we haven't talked about very much, but like Matt, the claims are on every fucking show this week.
They gave him lots of stuff. Apparently there's like a new apparently there's like a new internal coalition forming of like Bowens and Caster and Dante Martin and I think Lee Moriarty. They hang out together. They call themselves the Lads. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to start to see something like that coalesce together.
Well, I mean, Bowens, he's proven himself on fucking like, you know, on Dynamite we're fighting. Yeah, that guy's a great wrestler. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, like all things he does, like, you know, like we're all into it. Although I still think his later search was like playing like scissoring.
That was hilarious. Until there's like they told us we can't do it anymore. Yeah. No Team Taz on the pay-per-view. Apparently Starks is still on the shelf, so I don't know what's gonna happen with them.
See, and you know, like I love AEW. I mean, we have a show about it and everything, but I still think it's criminal the way they treated Brian Cage. I think Brian Cage deserves better than what they've done. Well, and I understand like he had a feud with Ricky Starks and Ricky Starks got injured, but when people are good, you find programs for them, and they just didn't do the effort for him, and I feel bad for him. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening in the back. I will say, something I will never say for WWE because they've given me no reason to. I will say, let's see how it plays out. It could be that in 6 months, it's even worse. He hasn't been on TV at all. And we're like, yeah, they're just not doing anything with him. Or it could be in 6 months. Compared to WWE, I'm not doing that because obviously it's better than what WWE. Well, no, what I mean is like WWE. You see characters you like, you want to see them more. That's it. I know what I just mean is like in WWE, when like somebody disappears for 6 months, you're like, oh, they're gonna get fired the next time around. There's no question. Like once they've disappeared, they're gone, and nothing ever plays out. Nothing. No, like nothing. There's no like other option. This has happened because only one thing is going to happen, and let's let it play out because it never plays out. Whereas in AEW, it could be that they have something planned and it hasn't come to fruition, or it could be things just aren't going to work out for him. Like I was saying, it could be in 6 months from now. He's got like a bunch of good feuds behind him and he's got a direction, or it could be 6 months from now. It's even more clear that they're not going to do anything with him. But honestly, Josh, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. You really don't think he's just lost in the shuffle right now? No, I think there are two things. For somebody who came in with as much fanfare, where like Tony Khan, he was a wild card. Well, it's like Tony Khan went out of his way. Like Tony Khan hired him and paid him for 3 months while he was hurt before he could even work. And Tony Khan went out of his way say, I've really wanted Brian Cage in the show, and we're going to do big things with him. And every time he's brought in someone like that and said that about them, he has done that. So if they're not doing something with him now, for someone that Khan was vocally high on, because like that was the same thing that he said. So you think they lost faith in him or something? Well, I think there's two options, because like everything he said about Khan about Brian Cage is what he said about Miro, and Miro became Miro. So he said like the same things about Brian Cage. So there's two options. And one is that he's having. Yeah. Well, there's one is that he's having some kind of health issue that's keeping him off TV. It was Ricky's fucking health issue. Well, apparently they both had health issues at the same time. Oh, but I thought Brian Cage was doing matches for like AAA or some shit. He had like one match for AAA in August. That was it. You're the one that told me that. And he was in like in a tag match where he was playing Thanos or something. He did like part of that Marvel thing that they do. Oh yeah, he's Wolverine. Yeah. But real class. So either
either he's had health issues that are keeping him from being able to do shows, or he has generated legitimate heat in the back, and they're like, well, we're not going to do
They don't
it
like working with us
because it's not worth it. We just don't want to work.
Which I've heard about Bray Wyatt, by the way. Apparently.
So, well, maybe, but that's apparently like
it's all speculation.
Right? That's apparently like WWE's new thing. When they release somebody who they know is going to talk shit about them, they go and they try to do it because they're starting to do it for Keith Lee now. They've started to
like a smear campaign.
They started to like work the rumor mill for Keith Lee that he was difficult to work with and stuff like that. And that's why he was like, which we know is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, people who are on the Indies from Texas, especially, know that's not the case.
Yeah. So I don't know, Brian Cage may have talked himself out of a job, or they may have something big planned for him.
His wife, right, was a big thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know.
Honestly, I'm a big fan of the guy. I like his work, and it'd be unfortunate if he just got written out of the show for his numbers game.
They don't do it just because they lose faith in you. Most of the time, it's either because the person.
Hey, I saw Ryden matches last week on Dark, so
I mean, no, yeah, like if you end up not getting a spot in AEW, it's either because you didn't get over, or because you pulled like the Evil East route and you were just so impossible to work with in the back, nobody wanted to buy.
Yeah, I don't think exactly Evil East, but it makes you kind of think it might be in that route. But also, even like the Ricky Starks thing, like when's he gonna come back? Because they keep doing
it. He's still hurt. Yeah, because he's still hurt. He's not. He's not cleared.
That sucks.
Whatever happened to his neck? What I'm hoping now is that whatever happened to his neck is not like does not end up being like a career-ending thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no. Now he did commentary like all this week on like elevation or whatever.
Yeah, but I know he wants to be a wrestler. He's got a better upside as a wrestler, but that means he has to be able to actually wrestle.
I mean, he's a good commentator, but he's a much better wrestler than he's a commentator.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see.
I was very upset, actually. I've said so many good things of Big Show about how like he's been better and everything, but literally this week he was like, when Ryu Mizunami, he was like, yeah, she was the first like champion for AEW on the women's side. I was like, it's Riho. That's not Rio. It's Riho. It's different. I know it's the ace.
Well, he was trying to say
it was him and Tony and fucking Mark Henry. So
he was trying. No, he was trying to say that she won the women's eliminator tournament last year, and I think he got it for the title. But I think he got it mixed up with something else.
Because he was bragging about like Alex Marvez giving all the facts of the show, but that's the facts he said. It's like, yeah, so Rio was the first. I'm like, yeah, they were for Riho, which later on the card was Riho. So now I think he's got his nose mixed up, but yeah.
That just goes to show how much the women's side has really developed, in the fact that Riho can't get on TV, which is
now it's TV style at least, so that's good. I mean, they give. Because DB, you don't want to take a title off of Britt Baker at all. So give somebody else to do something. And that it is very good. Big Dad's for get Jake Cargill, get Ruby Soho, like all these other people, like do something. Because again, you're not gonna fucking be. You shouldn't even I'm not even
probably not until Double or
Nothing. Britt Baker should have came a long time ago, and she earned it. So
yeah, my guess is Double or Nothing next year. They hold the match for Double or Nothing.
Dude, I think the last women's champion I'm enjoying more than Britt Baker might have been Trish Stratus.
She's really good. She's really good.
Yeah. Especially after coming in from just like a tits and ass type of literally TNA.
I know. To actually being able to be a good wrestler and a good promo and a good champion. I mean, that took a lot of effort.
Oh, yeah, I think about promos. I was thinking about her fucking moves, but yeah, you're right.
That too. Yeah, she became a good wrestler and a good promo. Yeah. She was a better promo first, but yeah, she went through a lot of WWE crap to actually make herself into something.
Well, a lot of people wouldn't have bothered. She actually made herself better. I think.
A lot of people wouldn't have. Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't have bothered. A lot of people have just been like, "Well, I'll just get my paycheck and whatnot. Why take bumps if you don't have to?" Yep. All right, so we're not going to miss another one of these because in six days is Full Gear, and we will be back.
Full Gear is what? Is
Saturday. It's coming Saturday, 6 days from now. So we've got a go home Dynamite and a go home Rampage, and then we've got Full Gear.
The card's already set, right? For the most part, I think yeah. Last week they're saying in the card.
Yeah, well, they haven't announced it officially because I think that they have because they haven't announced the Cody match for the card. Oh, that's the only thing that. That's the only thing they haven't announced, and they haven't announced the buy-in. I expect that on the go-home shows, both of those on the go-home shows this week. So we shall see. But so this time next Sunday, we will be reviewing what we hope Full Gear has been traditionally the weakest of all of the AEW pay-per-views.
Well,
Just
it's not
keeps
really
working
the
out
last
that way.
pay-per-view. It's like
Yeah.
nothing. It's like
And it's going to be hard to top the last. I
That's
don't expect it to.
like
I don't
first-
expect it to top. Yeah, no, I don't expect it to top the last one, but I am hoping to say
It
that
almost
this
like
is.
AEW almost fucked themselves. They're like, yeah, like no, if you're really disappointed, you're like, oh, not as good as the last one. But also, like, yeah, when you have that fucking goal, like it's hard to go back to anything else. Like,
Well, yeah, when you do what people say is like the best US pay-per-view of like the last 25 years, if not ever, that's a high bar to clear. No,
it's
what I'm
not about the
expecting,
budge.
what I'm expecting / hoping for is that we'll be coming back in a week to say this is the best Full Gear they have ever done. And
you think Lucha Brothers are gonna lose?
no, Lucha Brothers are gonna win.
All right. See, that's the one belt that
I
I
think-
think Lucha Brothers haven't been fighting lately so much.
Because I think they've been hurt. I think they had.
Oh, what?
yeah,
Phoenix is hurt again?
yeah. They've
God,
had,
fuck.
I think they've had maybe one defense, and that's it. And then they had their AAA title defenses against FTR.
Promos and FTR saying, yeah, we're the best Lucha Brothers ever, which is so fucking weird. Like, why are you defending? Like, have you gone back to Mexico?
They're getting ready to. That's why it's so funny. The FTR are the greatest luchadors.
also,
It's
I mean,
hilarious.
FTR in some degree should be champions, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
And it gets
somebody-
them onto a pay-per-view.
Tag team wrestling should be fucking.
And it gets them on their pay-per-view. And God willing, next year we get the FTR Young Bucks rematch. Because we really gotta have.
Miss Don Callis like I have?
People definitely miss. He will 100% be on the pay-per-view. I expect him to be on Dynamite this week for the contract signing and the go home angles, and he will
I
definitely.
mean, I never wanted to see a guy who hated so much.
I think it was. I think it started.
11 for a car or some shit.
I think it started to get harder when Adam Cole came in because he was doing so much talking, and there was less reason to have Callis
And
around.
like,
He will be back.
he's not a heel. Like people cheer. Like you all want to
I
see
know.
boom.
Well, you know what? We'll see.
It's not like Rock when he used to be like, hey, this thing sing along with his chant, like that type of shit. Like Adam Cole likes encourages people like this.
I like mark my words. When Kevin Steen shows up in January,
I
and
hope
Mount Rushmore
This is
Wrestling
very
reorganizes,
interesting, right?
Adam Cole will be a babyface to be a babyface with Kevin Steen. Well, you know the other two big names they've been talking about.
This
when you
be
start-
Buzz. You can manage John Silver.
No.
Hey, by the way, apparently Adam Silver never Adam Cole never those rumors about him this saying that he's gonna be a manager. He never acknowledged those. He said that.
He said he said they
He never
never
heard
told. He said he never heard that, but there have been lots of confirmation within WWE that at the levels above him.
A little bit.
I think it was definitely talked about. They may not have presented it to him, but I think that Bruce Pritchard definitely.
John Silver making a whole storyline. That's kind of funny.
No. He's making up that storyline because the rumors were already out. Like the rumors have been out there for months. No, I don't think John Silver created the rumors in order to create the BTE bit. I think no. I think
is there a level of truth to them?
Yes, 100%. From everything I have heard, Bruce Pritchard 100% pitched those ideas to Vince McMahon for.
I was saying because Adam Cole has said I've never heard them before, but
apparently it is not unusual for the talent to be the last people told in WWE. Frequently, the talent has said that they find things out through Twitter before. They said
your father-in-law John Laurinaitis.
Yes.
He didn't John Laurinaitis, right? I had to look out later. I was like, oh, is it your father-in-law? I was like, Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, oh wait, that is. Well, it's a weird thing. It's a family tree because it's Brie Bella's mom.
It's his.
Married.
John Laurinaitis is his stepfather-in-law, but apparently they spend a lot of time together because John Laurinaitis is heavily involved in the Bellas. But no, they have said multiple times when draft time comes out, the talent finds out that they're moving brands when they see it on TV or maybe 30 seconds more. 2 years ago, there was the infamous Money in the Bank match that Mustafa Ali was supposed to win. And actually what ended up happening was at the very end, Brock Lesnar came out, knocked Mustafa Ali off the ladder and took the Money in the Bank contract. And Ali got told that was going to happen right before he walked out the curtain.
Didn't he shoot that until an interview? I heard that later.
Yeah, he did.
like I'm mistreated because it just happened to me.
Yeah, but that just goes to show like that's how WWE does it. They make their decisions at
Muhammad Hassan. You're fine.
Yeah, they make their decisions at like such late moments that
because
nobody knows anything.
Versus a good story, just want to sort like, oh, somebody, even if it's a good story, like somebody figured it out. Like, no, I just fucking.
Well, it's not that. It's like even when it's stuff that hasn't gotten out, they just don't tell talent. Well, partly it seems like they just change. Like McMahon himself just changes his mind all the time and can't decide on anything, which is bad for an executive. So there's like a lot from the stories you hear.
Yeah, but
lots of stuff.
Like it's bad because they make record profits every year and they have like record TV contracts. So you tell me was bad. I'm like, money doesn't mean good.
What they're putting on TV right now, that's what's bad. But it just goes to like talent is usually like the last told about anything. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Cole was never ever told anything about the stuff. But I do believe 100%. They were talking about cutting his hair, changing his name, and making him a manager because they could never see him working out as a main event.
No, I mean, that was a hardcore rumor. I actually thought it was true when he was like against it. I'm like, you already said you weren't mad at WWE for going over here. Like, you can acknowledge when things that like you think you might hear to say maybe they were true, but like, he was very like, no, I never heard it. But at the same time, he let John Silver run with this fucking storyline to which
because it's funny. Like, well, I think he probably thinks he may have never had it said to him, but I bet he believes that it was pitched because it sounds like exactly what they would do.
He would never let John Silver do this whole thing, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, he has, he's been on BTE for years. He's got a BTE sense of humor. He's gonna, but the other thing that's been bouncing around in the rumor mill is that, especially for Adam Cole, is that Johnny Gargano and Kevin O'Reilly's contracts are both up in December in basically 4 weeks.
Wait, so there's this thing where Johnny or there and Kevin Steen are all up in December?
Kevin Steen's up in January and has the rumor is he's already turned down an extension. So Kevin O'Reilly and Johnny Gargano, who are the other two parts of the Undisputed Era, are both up in December. They apparently had like a dark match on SmackDown on Friday and are getting like the big pitch from Vince to re-sign and stay, but nobody thinks that they're going to stay because they do not. No, exactly. They're not going to get moved. They're too small to get moved up to the main roster. They don't fit in current.
Also, that's a fucking death sentence administratively. So whatever.
It's a death. If they stay, they'll just get buried. So a lot of people expect them to leave and show up in AEW.
Ciampa doing? That Ciampa is like a real dude. Like
Ciampa. People think that he's going to stay and become basically like a behind the scenes guy, like a Michael Hayes or something like
a producer type of thing.
A producer, yeah, something like that. Producer coach.
I think he has his fight to fight. He's the urge to fight. Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
So I would say don't be surprised if like Undisputed Era is like back together in December and then gets joined by Kevin Steen, and now you've got a new faction to fight the Elite, and they're all about the budge. Then the only thing you'll be missing is El Generico.
What?
El Generico. You don't know El Generico?
No.
El Generico was Sami Zayn's character in ROH. Oh. So before his gimmick for more than a decade, before he came to WWE, he was a mute masked luchador.
That's another thing. I don't care what people have been. I mean, I do kind of care what they've been for because I want to see where they've been good. But like, if they come to like AEW and tell a good story, even if just from WWE, I don't fucking care. I just want to see good shit on my TV. That's it.
No, but mostly it's a lot, especially these guys who how good they are, and they're just not getting allowed to show it. But imagine
he's never gonna be off TV because his fucking story is always good, right? He's always gonna get fucking good products.
Yeah. He's a top guy. The top guys are never off TV. It's the mid-card guys who get rotated.
It's going to be fucking talent. At least AEW has a better eye than I've seen lately for a lot of other people who are seeing that.
The mid-card guys will get rotated. It's like why you're not seeing Varsity Blondes right now. You're seeing the Acclaimed. But at some point, and that's going to go on for a few weeks, and then it's going to rotate. The Acclaimed will be off TV, and you'll start getting Varsity Blondes again.
Although
that's how it goes.
Weird to say that because the Acclaimed were all over fucking TV this week.
But it's because they're on now. We had like weeks and weeks and weeks.
Because they're actually fucking good.
We had weeks and weeks and weeks.
I hated that. I know. Cena. But honestly, especially, I like Max Caster a lot, but I fucking love Anthony Bowens more because his wrestling style is great.
There was
he's
like
a mix of a lot of styles in the ring. It's
well,
great.
there were weeks and weeks and weeks where it was all Varsity Blondes and people going, "Where's the Acclaim? They've just vanished. Are they getting released? What's happening?" And now it's the other way around. Now it's the Acclaim, and Varsity Blondes are taking some, are on the rotation, and people rotate in, they rotate out, they rotate in, they rotate out. That's what happens in the mid card until you break through.
Wherever that, but like even Bear Country, you don't see them anymore.
Yeah, I suspect they'll be back, but yeah, I mean they weren't able to make that big breakthrough, and things are more crowded now, so now it's harder.
Dark and Elevation more these days are basically two matches where people are already on Elevation and Dynamite, or Dynamite and Dark or Rampage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like there's the days like the Peter Avalon storylines or whatever, like your own storylines.
Not as much as it used to be.
They're not gone, but they're gonna be few and far between.
Fewer and further between. They're not gonna be around like they used to be. We won't see as much of the Wingman or some of that other stuff.
Which is a little shame because that led something like, hey, so that's why I'm gonna tune in. Like I don't just want to see the same guys beat each other all week.
That one really is.
I mean, you have to talk about the glory days of the Brandon Cutler, Pete Travel.
Hey, that was one of the all-time great feuds.
Yeah, the people like, what the fuck is happening today on Dark?
Well, I know. What's going to happen? How are they going to lose again? Are they going to finally win one?
Yeah,
but no,
it's be interesting.
Well, in some ways, it's the business thing, because a lot of these guys were the guys who got them through the pandemic, who were there in Daly's place week in and week out, and so they were having storylines
on MTV
on Dark.
You need to see them build up wins for credibility. Yeah.
And now a lot of those guys who were there and stuck through it through the pandemic, now that it's back on TV and touring, it seems like they're not there.
Like WWE's letting go of wrestlers or something. Like we're bloated with wrestlers, so
they got like 4 big giant dudes who have to be main event dudes who came in all at once this summer. At the same time, they started touring again, so now a lot of guys just lost a spot.
I'm announcing Adam Cole, CM Punk, and who?
Andrade, Malachi Black, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, those 5 guys coming all in a 2-month stretch. I mean, that eats up a lot of spots.
4 fucking good wrestlers. I mean, that's it. You want to see those people perform. I mean,
and they are. And they really are. Andrade just keeps getting better and better with each.
Even Andrade looks like at danger of being misused at all of them, but they found a way to keep him on TV. Even though people complain about how he's with Malachi Black, I'm like, how does he put him on TV and having good matches?
Yeah.
That's all.
And he's having good matches. He's finding his stride.
Yeah.
Compared
to the fucking best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll get there. All right, so that's a lot to go through. I know we only skimmed it because we had so
many.
It was
a month.
It was just about a month. But now we're back. We're back on track. Full Gear's coming up, and then it's going to be a wild ride to Revolution, because I expect them to do something big in December. They like to do some big ratings draw in December. So
wait, so is a pay-per-view this Saturday or the next?
This coming Saturday, 13th.
Should we do like predictions? Do we know the card?
Let's do we don't know the whole card.
Let's do a quick rundown.
Let's do a quick rundown and predictions. Okay. Kenny Omega versus Adam Page.
Adam Page.
Adam Page has to win.
Yeah.
FTR versus Lucha Brothers.
I want to say Lucha Brothers, but I can see it being FTR too.
No, I don't think they're going to have beat somebody. They just won at the last pay-per-view. I don't think they're going to drop the belt.
Well, they only have the Triple A belts. They never do that.
No. Yeah. The FTR has the AAA belts. Lucha Brothers just won the AEW belts at the last pay-per-view 3 months ago. I don't think they're going to switch belts 3 months later. I don't think they're going to do it.
So does Sammy defend the TNT belt on this card?
No. He's part of the Inner Circle versus America's Top Team. So let's do that.
I don't even care who wins that. That's not the point of this whole thing, right?
Inner Circle versus America's Top Team. Who wins?
I mean, Inner Circle wins, but again, I don't think it's the point of the match.
It's an attraction. It's an attraction. Yeah. I think. I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to say Men of the Year in America's Top Team.
Really?
Yeah,
they could have used a win more than anything.
They need that. Men of the Year need a win. They haven't won again. They've gotten into big matches, but they haven't won them, and they need a win.
I would agree with that.
Sky really needs one.
Also, they would just pull out wins, whatever. What's the other ones?
Britt Baker versus
Eddie Kingston.
CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. CM Punk has to be CM Punk.
With a very fucking fun match that we're gonna watch. For sure.
Bryan Danielson versus Miro.
Bryan Danielson.
Right?
But again, very fucking fun match. Yeah.
Britt Baker versus Tay Conti for the women's
Oh,
championship. For Baker.
I love Taven.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Is there a
I think it'll be
TBS
good
title,
match.
like a women's
No.
match?
No, I don't think so. I think they'll do that. They're doing that on Dynamite and Rampage, but not on the paper.
Really? Not even the
Yeah.
buy-in? They don't say like dude, like like.
I don't think so. They haven't announced what's on the buy-in, but I'll be surprised. I don't think so. And then it hasn't been announced, but there is an expectation for Cody and Pac versus Andrade and Malachi.
I mean, I think they're gonna look for Cody and Pac to go over.
I would expect for Cody and Pac to go over.
Malachi go over, but whatever. Is Orange Cassidy booked on this? No.
Nothing right now.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy is it's going to be very strange. There was something Orange Cassidy or this so here is a there are two we don't have the whole card. The expectation is the whole card will be announced will be announced this week on the Go Home show. So most of it, we have most of it, but not the whole card. So here are two wrinkles. So Dax Harwood is going to have a singles match against Pac, which I expect to be a banger. But I also expect that to lead into like a bunch of Andrade, Malachi, Pac, Cody nonsense. Right. So the other one is since there's no since they're putting things off, since the Miro matches on the pay-per-view, there's a tune-up match on Dynamite, Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero. And and Orange Cassidy.
He's already had the match against Miro.
What? No, Rocky Romero. He's a New Japan wrestler.
No, but Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero. But Bryan Danielson already has a match against Miro. Why would he do that?
Yeah, he wants a tune-up match to keep himself steady. So he's got a match against Rocky Romero
so you're
on
saying
Dynamite.
2 matches that night?
No. He's wrestling Rocky Romero on Dynamite on Wednesday.
Oh, I thought you meant like the buy-in.
No. He's wrestling Rocky Romero on Dynamite.
So what happens to the Leo Rush match?
That's on Dynamite on Wednesday.
Okay.
So Bryan Danielson is wrestling Rocky Romero, who is the liaison between New Japan Wrestling Japan and New Japan Wrestling.
Yeah, he's like a really Utah. That's not really Utah. Like the one they actually like. Yeah,
that's right. Well, he's the guy who gets people over here and sets things up.
Like tag team partner, right?
He was who?
He was Trent's partner.
He was Trent's partner. He was Trent's partner in New Japan Wrestling years ago. He was Trent's partner in New Japan Wrestling. He was he's done a lot, but he's here. He works primarily out of LA on New Japan Strong, the US show, and does a lot of this.
Utah because it was a big deal when you're on Dark and you win that match, but then all the same.
So Orange Cassidy is seconding Rocky Romero in this match. Basically because he is Trent's former tag team.
We even talk about the fucking classic battle rap that Orange Cassidy had against Mass Caster.
That's right. So I know. No, word to your mother. That's all you got to say. You don't have to say anything else. Word to your mother. So here's a wrinkle that has a lot of people guessing, but we don't know anything about, especially with Moxley out, and Moxley's been the one who's been wanting to do New Japan matches. So this.
Hey, Lance Archer. I hope you're doing okay too.
Me too. Yeah. Who's gonna miss out because he's not here? So the same night.
What is this?
The same night as is not great, but it can't be helped. The same night as Full Gear, New Japan Strong is doing a major pay-per-view in San Jose. And they've brought over a bunch of their heavy hitters for that night. Okada is going to be there. Ishii is going to be there. Will Ospreay is going to be there.
Wow. That's
Jay White is going to be there. It's going to be a great show. So there is a lot of expectation. So that means all these guys are in America that night.
Looking at the pay-per-view, like when I was an eye creatively, what's going on? Like,
well, I think there is an expectation that if you have New Japan's liaison wrestling on Dynamite and probably losing to Bryan Danielson the week before the pay-per-view,
that's the answer.
You have some sort of VTR or something pop up during the pay-per-view from a major New Japan guy to say, I'm coming for you and I want a match.
I mean, if they can do the build that fucking Eddie and Punk did for their match, then they're good.
They almost don't have to do anything. It's like,
that thing was a masterclass and just having one segment to promote a match.
So remember the pop that Minoru Suzuki got just coming out on all
That's
out
pretty much it,
and
yeah.
not having to do anything. He didn't have to do
Yeah.
anything. He just had to come out and
Other than
say,
his music be half a
Yeah.
long or whatever.
well, no, that was on the show. On
Yeah.
he got his full entrance on All Out.
Yeah, because he
and
made it a point.
just to come out. Well, no, that was
Creatively, it was
before.
a point.
That was before. Yeah, but that was before Dynamite. He did that to come out and say like, I'm going to have a match against you at Dynamite on television. So if you have during the pay-per-view, like Okada appears on the screen and says, I'm going to have a match against Kenny Omega in December on Dynamite, people will lose their shit. Or
I mean, I feel
against
like
Bryan Danielson. Actually, it seems more likely it would be against like Bryan, because Bryan Danielson's the one who wants to work New Japan and is wrestling a New Japan guy. So if he like beats up Rocky Romero so bad, and Rocky Romero says like, I'm going back to the New Japan dojo and I'm coming back with a bunch of my guys, and it ends up being like a videotape message from Okada and Ishii, that's a big deal. And
yeah,
if they're in the country,
like, you know, like
something
what's
they
the guy?
could do.
The old guy that fought like John Moxley. What's his name?
Suzuki.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of people, actually kind of even heard him. That's one thing, but like the fact that he came out and did his shit, and like we saw who he was as a wrestler. I mean, for a lot of people, I feel like we're mean. Like even if you know him, you saw me like, man, that guy's kind of a badass. Like kind of the way he did it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just say you're quiet and come out.
Yeah.
Like
right.
What?
Well, it depends on what you're showing it. Like the people who are, for the most part, the people who are buying because if it was like TV, yeah, because you got like 1.5 million people watching. If you're the people who are buying the pay-per-view, like the 200,000 people who are buying the pay-per-view, they know who fucking Kazuchika Okada is. Yes. They know what his background with Kenny Omega is, and they know what it would mean if he showed up.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue too much against it, but again, like even like because I have a very cursory knowledge of NCAA, but I knew who Suzuki was because I've heard something of him being a badass, and he came out and said he was like showed that he was a badass. Yeah. And I mean, the best way you can prove you're badass is how you.
Everyone will know who Okada is, and they will lose their minds. There are two guys, only one of whom's available.
Well,
there are two.
Not a lot of people probably knew who Suzuki was, but
everybody
was after a match, right? Yeah.
Everybody who was in the arena for the pay-per-view knew who Suzuki was. Probably 90% of the people who bought the pay-per-view knew who Suzuki was. Because that's just what like
lovely mark or something like that.
That's just what the Venn diagram between like AEW pay-per-view buyers and New Japan watchers is. It's almost a circle. And they definitely know who, like the two dream matches before it seemed like it'd be possible for Bryan Danielson to show up in AEW. The two dream matches people had for AEW that they thought might be possible were either Kenny Omega and Okada or Kenny Omega and Ibushi. And those are still probably the two most wanted matches they could have. And then after that, now with the guys you have, if somebody starts saying, oh, by the way, we could do Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson, or we could do Okada and Bryan Danielson, people will lose their minds.
I know we've been talking for a while, but here's one thing, because you went through it creatively with everything else. There's one thing, because we both think that Adam Page is going to beat Kenny Omega.
Everybody thinks that.
Is he going to kick out the one in Winged Angel?
Yes, 100%. He better.
The first person to do it.
He had.
I mean, that would make sense, but that's an
from
honor.
The story that they have been telling. He has to.
Like, I'm wondering what's going to lead up to that. Is he missing Buck's shot that goes into it, or like we're going to fucking like freak out when all of a sudden like he's.
That's people are going. People. That's the only thing that might make this.
Whatever, but one Winged Angel, you don't kick out of that.
This is why I think this one might top the Bryan Danielson match, because like during the near falls at the end, people are going to be on their feet for every single
TV
one of them.
For a goddamn 30-minute TV match.
To wait, they're going to be they're going to be on their feet for like the last 10 minutes of this, going, "Where's the one winged angel? Is it coming? Is he kicking out of it? If he does, what happens next?" People are going to be freaking out.
Suspense. The suspense he has.
It's like it's the story that they've been telling, so everyone knows what is going to happen. They think, but there's like it's like the CM Punk thing. It's like we all are like 99.99% certain.
You've been saying it from the beginning. It's like it doesn't matter, even if it's the story you expect. Just tell it the right way. That makes a lot of people.
Well, it's even that. Like it's like they said. It's like we're 99.9% sure that this thing that you've been telling us for 2 years is going to happen, but there is like this small doubt, but it might not, because one of these things has never happened before.
Also, all you result, but how
are you going to?
That's like to be up to
like
right?
it's just like the uncertainty, that 0.1% uncertainty makes everyone
The
like
drama.
the suspense and the drama.
Guys,
people will be on their feet as soon as it starts because like it's like the beginning of the.
We're just a professional man.
Yeah, well, it's like the beginning of the Bryan Danielson like Kenny Omega match. Like before it even starts, everyone's going on their feet going, I don't. It's like matter and antimatter in the same place. I don't know what's going to happen when this starts.
And we were locked in the whole fucking 30 minutes, and when it went to a draw, we were like, "This is what it should happen." You're right. That no one is actually better than each other right now.
Yep. So Full Gear, I think, is going to if only that match pays off, it will be 100% worth it.
It's going to be good.
It's not going to be all out, but it's probably going to be I'm predicting
a high bar when they set that show. So
I am predicting the best.
Unless there's like 5 different wrestlers that we know are going to join AEW or something.
That's not going to happen.
Which is not going to happen. Yeah.
That's not going to happen. But I am predicting that this will be the best version of Full Gear they've ever done. So
no, I think that's a very, very good. I agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like the last 2 Full Gears have been fine. But they haven't been great, but I think this will be the best.
That's the thing. Like ever since they've been on upward trend with their shows, they know the quality of the shows. Like, they have to outperform the last show. Like I said.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll in 6 days we will be back on here for our special AER Full Gear episode to find out what happened with New Japan, who won the AEW World Championship, and what does the AEW world look like going forward?
And then if Budge became a thing.
Budge is going to be a thing. They better be calling.
It's all about the Budge.
They better be calling him Budge when he comes out to the ring. But we'll see. All right.
How does Britt Baker love Budge? Okay.
I don't need to know that much. All right. Well, for all elite reviewing, I'm for all elite reviewing. I'm Budge.
And I'm Budge. I'm also Budge. Also called Shimmy. But I'm Budge.
All right. I'm changing our names to Budge for this whole episode. on the placards. All right. Cue the Budge.